rockstar energy. It gets me energized so I can go out and send it. Hustle on.
I watched my first race yesterday.
You're on the team, kid. It's orientation day.
Hey, new guy, let's get you up to speed.
Lunchtime! Your workspace is ready.
Looks like you got a corner office.
Be part of something greater. Toyota. Let's go places.
Off this way, doing all these shows. I've been on the road, I don't care where I go, as long as I get paid. Bad little vibe, she been on my mind. Soon as I get back, she can shred. Do this all the time, this ain't no surprise. Every other night, another movie getting made. Drip too hard, don't stand too close. Off this way, doing all these shows. I've been on the road, I don't care where I go, as long as I get paid. Bad little vibe, she been on my mind. Soon as I get back, she can shred. Do this all the time.
Welcome to Road Atlanta. That's right, we are celebrating 20 years. In 2004, an idea of Ryan Sage and Jim Lau said, you know what, let's try this thing called drifting. It's Formula Drift. It kicked off here 20 years ago, and we are back at it. And Ryan Sage is next to me. I'm Jared Deanda. Ryan, president and co-founder of Formula Drift. He's back here in the booth. We're going to be talking about qualifying here this evening. Tomorrow is round 1 of the Link Engine Management Pro Spec Championship, and then game day Saturday, round 2 of 8 of this Formula Drift Pro Championship. Ryan, how cool and sentimental is it to be back here at this track?
It's pretty amazing, and I was actually, something just popped into my head right now. 20 years ago, one of the very first runs that we ever saw on this track was Vaughn Gittin Jr.
Wow.
And did you realize that because this is his first event, he's at the bottom of the lineup, he's going to be the first run for the 20th season?
That's crazy.
That's crazy.
Yo, let's go.
Bring it
Yeah.
in.
I mean, got a lot of gray hair, got no hair, but we all look great. And, seeing some drivers, Taka Ayano helping out, a pro spec driver. Chris Forsberg, Ken Gucci, they're OGs. They're since day one. They're still in competition. But many, let's just call it, careers have been made here, and tears and beers and all that has gone down, but it goes down again. Second round of 8 of the Formula Drift Championship. Long Beach kicked things off. It was a great, obviously battle, but knockout qualifying format, and again, Saturday is game day. The sun's setting here. The lights will come on. This track has just made so many memories for myself and Ryan, I'm sure. Anything come to mind as
Well,
far as
I mean,
for you?
who would think to entrust the paving of an international, well-known racetrack to a fledgling, unknown motorsport 20 years ago?
A fad. It's called a fad.
And it's still ripping today.
Very relevant.
That horseshoe looks as good as it did 20 years ago, and there's literally been thousands of runs that have taken place besides all the memories, besides all the champagne, besides all the tears, besides the crashes, the running over cars. And when we think about the way that the season started, in a sense, it picked up where it left off at the end of the 2022 season. Matt Field was the dominant driver in 2022. He could not pull it through. Had trouble in Salt Lake. Osbo got the best of him. We saw a podium that kind of set the stage for things to come. But now we're going to get to see Kristaps Blush coming back in the mix. Vaughn Gittin Jr. coming back in the mix. What kind of role will those drivers play against the likes of Field and Rome Charpentier and Chelsea Denofa and Ryan Turk and all of the drivers that we've come to love and know over the past 20 years?
It's anybody's game, really, when it comes down to it. There's so much talent. The builds are insane. But Matt Field put it together in Long Beach, and that's where we're taking a look back here. Rome Charpentier, love the way he's progressing, but literally anybody can win. You've got to make it past 32, 16, 8, all these things, but it begins here with qualifying. We have an absolute stacked, field of characters. Speaking of field, obviously Matt Field will be the last qualifying driver, and as you said, Vaughn Gittin Jr. will be the first. But, the Osbo Field rivalry is it? Is that where it's at?
Is it that now?
I would have to think so. I mean, I don't think they have distaste for each other, but if we backtrack, obviously 22 last year where they got into it, 23, it all comes together for Matt Field. There's so much drifting, so many tires to be shredded. It starts in Long Beach, it ends just down the freeway at Irwindale, but everything in between, we're in Orlando in 2 weeks.
Yeah.
It just happens very quickly.
Some of the marquee moments, I think, it's important that you underline that. Some of the marquee moments last year have been between Matt Field and Frederick Osbo. And whether or not it's a rivalry, they are sure enough getting the best out of each other competitively. And let's not forget, this year is historic in another sense as well. We have James Dean back in the field. He's a 3-time champion. Frederick Osbo is now a 3-time champion. Any of those guys take down another championship, I think you have to say GOAT status, because both of them will have done something that the other one has not. So James Dean is certainly going to be a factor. I think the very first time that James Dean drove here in Road Atlanta in 2017, he won, and he's had multiple podiums since that time. Brand new chassis. Looks like he was getting a little bit of an adjustment in Long Beach, but just wait until the machine comes out and it's dialed. It's going to be a crazy time for everybody.
And James is getting so much seat time, over in Europe. He's driving a lot, and there's the stats. I mean, James jumped behind the wheel of a Ford Mustang. Smart move by Vaughn Gittin Jr. and the RTR team to campaign 3 cars. Again, Vaughn back behind the wheel after taking a hiatus last year. Split season with him and Adam LZ. Adam LZ running his own event actually at E-Town, which will be later on this year. And then again, Chelsea Denofa. He's right there. He's one to watch, I think, here this weekend, that RTR team. But again, the other American car, Matt Field. But yeah, the boss is back. He's ready. He's shooting for the moon. His livery, which is, out of this world. He always promotes kind of just that higher level, hierarchy, kind of vibes. And he's got something to prove.
Does he? I mean, yes, I think he does have something to prove that I can still. He said in our press conference in Long Beach, when asked, do you think that taking some time off has hurt your driving ability? Wasn't even a beat. He said no, because I drive all the time. Now, whether or not that ends up being the case, I think we're going to find out on this first run right here. My intuition is that Vaughn is not the kind of athlete that lets anything slip away. He would not be in competition unless he knew that he could be competitively strong, win events, and take out drivers. And so that's what I think his plan is over those 4 rounds. For sure.
Okay.
For sure. Why not?
Yeah, even in practice, I saw some videos that Brian Eggert, one of the judges, was showing with me. Q1 qualifying, remember, we'll take the top 26, right? No, 24.
24.
Top 24, excuse me. Take the top 24, one and done. They park it. Then we fill out the rest of the field with the remaining 8 spots. Again, come in here, look at the drivers list. Seen 38 drivers, so 6 drivers. Looking at it at glance, that's how it should be, but we'll see if all the drivers are here as far as showing up here in the building. But yeah, Vaughn's going to play spoiler, and it is reverse order, so it starts from the bottom, works our way to the top. So Matt Field will be our final driver again, as he currently leads the points. Rome Charpentier in second. Frederick Osbo currently sits in third. Yeah, look at that. Osbo, RCP, and Field. I mean, look at Jonathan Hurst. I mean, Hurst is sitting in fourth. He was just outside of getting that first ever podium. So, yeah, an exciting day, an exciting evening, both here tonight, tomorrow night, and Saturday. It's a, I wouldn't call it double header, but it's pro spec and pro, as opposed to being a double header. Judging this year, the format, the K&N knockout qualifying. Walk us through what the judges are looking for, zones, points, all that.
Yeah, there's no sector scoring anymore. Each judge is judging all the criteria as one. They're basically using a deductive system, going through and taking deductions on the severity of the mistakes made. 90 total points for line, angle, style, and 10 points can be added for X Factor. When you look at line, angle, style being the initiation and transitions, the glue that puts the whole thing together is really what X Factor is all about. The throttle control, the commitment, the speed consistency, really pushing to that next level. That thing that is a differentiator between you and the other guy that's just checking the boxes, and that's what we saw in Long Beach. So in this particular case, heavy and controlled throttle usage. Big angle, but also marrying it with consistent pace, showing the vehicle's stability and balance, not getting out of whack, and then, of course, all of that equals just performing at a high level of driving.
Rate to angle, the snappiness, the transitions, just the what, like getting us excited, getting the judge excited, the fans excited. That's the unknown. The hey, how you doing? Yep, keeping it sideways. That's what we're doing. The kitty litter there is where a few vehicles ended up earlier in pro spec. Here's our Formula Drift K&N keys to success, Ryan. Quick and accurate initiation. Back on the throttle by interclip 1. Heavy throttle usage up the hill, so powering up into outer zone 1. Use the momentum, fill outer zone 1 and 2, and then finishing it off strong and wrapping around, which the final inside clip is obviously where they begin.
Yeah, and those are actually cliff notes from the drivers' meeting. And if you want to go on our YouTube page right now, we actually have a longer video breaking down the PowerPoint that's used in the judges and drivers meeting to kind of give you some insight more in detail of what they're looking for. Now, as we look at the Torque Drift track preview, you really kind of get an idea of what the track looks like from behind the driver perspective. We have that first inside clip. Guys reaching excess speeds of over 100 miles per hour. Then as we come up the hill, we get to that first outside zone. Now remember, the rumble strip is fair game for full points. They can get those rear wheels on that rumble strip for full points. Outside zone 2, it's one of our favorites. It's right in front of us, Jared. They want to see you fill that zone all the way completely and then leave at the right time to hit this inside clip. Now what's really important here, mid-line, leaving inside clip number 2, going down the hill, setting up your front bumper for that touch and go. Then mashing the throttle, good transition back around, and the final component here is this last inside clip, which you should be passing it, pushing wide all the way out to the rumble strip, and then getting through that finish line.
Download Torque Drift available today. Straight up round 2 on Atlanta as we take a look at Jonathan Castro's Toyota Gazoo Racing 86. Our judges, so we have a kind of a rotating seat as we have 4 judges, but 3 judges are implemented each round. This round of competition, Chris Ewell, Brian Eggert, and Ryan Lontaine. As round 1, we saw Brian Eggert kick it to the side. He was driver steward. Well, Robbie Nishida, Bushido Blade, former Formula Drift competitor. As we are getting set to go, there are judges. You can see them right there. Talking again, got Sean Adriano up here, and he's obviously helping everybody out, but as far as drivers go, and we are ready to get after it. So Chris Ewell, Brian Eggert, Ryan Lontaine are 3 judges scrutinizing the run. So thank you guys and gals for joining us. Tell everybody to tune in online and watch Formula Drift live here from Road Atlanta. And there he is, as he's talked about it. You know, a day 1 driver, Vaughn Kitten Jr. again. Would have competed all 20 years except last year, parked it, you know, hanging out with his wife and his boys, and, you know, really dedicating a lot of time to the off-road. You know, if it's Ultra 4, King of the Hammers, you know, him and Lauren Healy doing a lot of off-road, doing a lot of commitments as far as the dirt and Broncos go, and now back behind the wheel of Ford Mustang. The all-new 2024 Ford Mustang, I might add. All right, Von Gittin Jr. on the start line. All right, there is Matt Sopa. He's down there on the line. Oh, and no big deal. Again, this is not head-to-head competition. Von Gittin Jr. initiating here. Let's see how he handles it in this all-new Ford Mustang. The Monster Energy Nitto Tire Ford Mustang RTR Spec 5D.
Jeez.
Yo, nice job coming up that hill. Look at that. Makes it look really easy. Wow, that squat right there. Look at that Nitto tire just rip. And again, Pro Spec to Pro, you got to think, you know, with it being a spec class and Pro Spec, now you got more tire, you got more horsepower, you got a lot more just overall in general. But Von didn't skip a beat. Welcome back, Von Gittin Jr.
Making a statement?
Yeah.
Is that what's going on there?
Yeah, NBD, VGG.
I mean, when you talk about momentum and throttle control and maxing those two things out, that was really a great display of it. You can see he gets that initiation right through that decel zone, right back on throttle at that inside clip, mashing it up the hill, now heading into this second outside zone and this inside clip. Great job there on proximity to the inside clip, using that midline, just what the judges want to see, right to the edge of the rumble strip there. Good transition back around, pushing wide to the finish line. Boom, this is gonna be a big score.
Yeah, that's a great way to start it. You know, two-time Formula Drift champ, 2010 and 2020. Again, hanging up his helmet last year, and he even said, he's like, it's not goodbye, it's see you later. You know, he did it like similar to like Dio Shihara. He says, all right, I'm out. You know, and they both retired last year, or kind of, like I said, parked it for a moment. But some great, look at that. I mean, hardly any correction from those front wheels.
Yeah, and the initiation was a big topic of discussion in the drivers' meeting. And you can see here, you know, he's going to be utilizing the e-brake just enough to get the car to do what he wants it to do. What the judges would like to see in an optimal, in a perfect world scenario, is that calibrating your speed coming down into initiation to use the least amount of e-brake possible, not as a crutch, but as a tool to show control of your vehicle. And I think he did a pretty good job of that. I think this is going to be, you know, a score that could potentially stay in the top 5, but let's see what the judges think overall.
See what we got from Von Gittin Jr., Captain Clutch Kick. Remember, can't win in qualifying. Got to make it to Saturday's game day. K&N knockout qualifying 93.3.
I told
game.
you. I told you.
Game. That is an amazing score. Look at the X factor, 7 out of 10.
Making it real clear right now.
Real clear, 93.33. Look at that.
Do you remember what was the highest score that we saw in Long Beach? 98 from Turk, right? And then there was a big point difference between him and everybody else.
Yeah.
So I mean, that's going to hold probably.
That's going to hold really well. I mean, I think that'll hold top 5.
Yeah.
I think that will definitely. But that's a great way to start. You know, start qualifying, 20 years, two-time champion, all that. And then, you know, here's Kyle Mohan, who's been banging away, the Lone Star Fighter with the rotary, that renewable lubricants Mazda-Trix RX-8. Initiating the Vitor. Again, look at that. Nice, good transition there from him. Coming up into outer zone 1, into outer zone 2. A little bit of a check up there, but no big deal. Keeps continuing on pace. Standing on it, powering back up, and past that final inside clip.
What's going to be really cool about tonight's qualifying session, Jared, is that it's nighttime, so we're going to be able to see the new decel light in full optimal conditions. And you'll see red, you'll see green, you'll see yellow, and we'll talk more about what those represent. But that's really a new tool that we have in the series this year to kind of talk about what's physically going on with the cars. And as we take a look above with Kyle Mohan, we can see he does hit that midline coming down the hill. He's about a foot off that touch and go as he wraps around this last inside clip. Just a little bit wide there, but he is able to push through the finish line, keeping angle in the car, and getting a scored run.
All right, so let's see what Mohan's got, awaiting the score here. Gosh, again, just really flabbergasted, that 93.33 of Von Gittin Jr. And Ryan, I know we are really kind of bring a lot of attention to the #1 qualifier overall. So, and we'll you're going to go interview our #1 qualifier overall after we've completed qualifying. So
go jump the fence.
Go jump the fence. Let's get down there and wrap out with our #1 qualifier. All right, so all right. All right, so moving right along. Next up, Ryan Literal. And taking a look, here is 75.66 for Kyle the Menace Mohan. 75.66. Had some words with Ryan Literal right before Pro Spec qualifying. Had some engine issues at round 1. Got the engine together. He's all dialed. Just something in his block he was talking about that wasn't done properly. So got it strapped back together here, actually in Atlanta, or in the Georgia area, excuse me. But power stop brakes, S15, Ryan Literal initiating. Nice slide into that first inside clip. Here, winding that thing up with the RB powered S15. Now into, fails to get out to outside zone 2. Oh, and a big mistake there. Ends up going off course, and that will be an incomplete, unfortunately, for Ryan Literal. Frustrating for him.
Yeah, that's a big bummer. I was smelling a little bit of maybe something like that happening as he was coming up the hill. The car didn't sound all that great. Kind of felt like he was fighting it a little bit. You can see he does push a little bit wide at inside clip 1 there. The transition coming up the hill is where he starts to unwind the angle. There was a weird sound coming from the car, and then right here, watch the front.
Whoops.
He goes straight, and unfortunately, it will be an incomplete. So as you mentioned, Jared, in the opening, we take the top 24 scores after run 1, and then the remaining drivers are competing for those 8 open spots. One of those drivers will be Ryan Literal as he gets an incomplete in run number 1.
All right, fans coming here on a casual Thursday. Guess what? He's back. Christoph Blush, the Latvian lover, and just an iconic moment. That's one that always stands out in my mind.
It's all time.
One of the all-time ones. If you haven't seen it, Christoph Blush.
You think the modern day fan knows about that?
I don't know. I mean, so Christoph's, he had a competition timeout, and his car was on jack stands. They were trying to get it done, and basically the car was up on jack stands, and the clock was going down, and he just drove with the car on jacks and just drove and ran over them, and they're like, no, you're not done, dude. Like, you can't. It was, go and look it up. Christoph Blush, Atlanta, I'd probably say 4 years ago or so.
Yeah, it was all hands on deck. I think Forsberg was like giving him nuts to put on the wheel.
Yeah, it was hilarious, but just an absolute legend, this guy. Christoph Blush, great to see him back here. Had problems getting his car in Long Beach, but guess what? He's here. A big, massive initiation. Kind of drifting into the drift. Kind of a lift and a slide into that first outside zone. Now coming into second outside zone. No problem for Christoph. Great looking car, the HGK design. A lot of people running the HGK kits and a variety of different cars. Brings it on home around that final clip. So Christoph Blush from Latvia comes back into American soil.
I see the judges wanting to look at the exit, but no matter what you think about the precision of this run, you have to appreciate the violence. I mean, that was a really aggressive initiation, big angle, and this is the area where we sort of got smoked out from the last angle. I think they wanted to see whether or not maybe he lost angle right there. I think they're going to let him fly on that. It was definitely a mistake, and certainly there will be some deductions, but I don't know that really constitutes. Maybe if they think about it as an unchaseable, but you can see he was really maxing out the angle in the car. That did have an effect on the momentum and kind of the fluidity through inside clip 1. Great job on outside zone number 2, super tight on the clip, and then right here just gets a little bit stuck on that transition coming down the hill and goes a little bit wide on the touch and go, but finishes up pretty strong. Massive spoke line for Christoph, pretty much the entirety of the run. And I think what we have come to love about Kristaps over the years as he's driven in the series is that aggressiveness.
Yep.
And you would hate to see for him to come back and for him to be a little bit more tame.
Yeah, no, that's part of his personality. It's part of his brand. Is again silent kind of assassin. You know, just his demeanor and how he carries himself, both in and out of the car, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, he's a great character in the cast of Formula Drift. Let's see where Kristaps lands. Oh, so they are saying it's an incomplete.
Really?
So
which
yeah.
part coming out of the horseshoe? You're gonna go ahead and so incomplete. Okay. Yeah. Well, if it weren't me, I would let it fly, but I understand.
Yeah, it's again, it comes down to unchaseable. Is that sufficient enough?
Well,
the judges obviously
what they're
think so.
saying is basically the angle settled to 0 degrees to constitute basically stopping drifting. So I can understand that.
All right, so we were to see Josh Reynolds, but Josh Reynolds is not here. So Joao Berrion is up next. All right, so Joao, the sheriff. Car is taking a licking, keeps on ticking here. Oh, initiates, see him squirrely on that first inside clip. Now, see the headlights just shaking around, like I said. Into a second outside zone. Gets all of it. Oh, and that's, oh man. Everybody having some issues here with that. You know, we saw it with Literal. He got that incomplete. Kristaps got an incomplete. And Joao Berrion.
Well, one of the things that does happen here, especially as the sun goes down, is the track surface changes quite a bit. And, you know, we do have that practice that corresponds with this time frame last night, but it's not an easy task. You really have to get this setup correct and appropriate, and that's already on top of the fact that it's a really hard course to drive, one of, if not the hardest courses, maybe besides Long Beach, in terms of the technicality of it. You know, You've got elevation changes, off camber, having to deal with track surface changes from day into nighttime that happen really fast. Like, it was sunny 15 minutes ago.
Yeah.
Now it's basically there's no sun out at all.
Yeah, and that definitely changes it. Steering issues. Yeah, so we're hearing from Joao's team having some steering issues. We'll get them towed off here. All right, so.
Can you give me the results so far on a tombstone or the top hat?
All right, so we'll get Joao Berrion off course, and we'll continue. We are hearing that Federico Sharifo, he's not here with us in Atlanta.
You know, I was going to ask you, I was thinking about this coming in. Do you remember the old tower that was here? Before, this was before we did live stream.
Yeah.
And the very we'll tell this story, but we're getting told to go to break. I want to talk about what you remember about the very first year.
We'll have to go. But wait, there's more. When we come back here, round 2 of the Formula Drift Pro Championship. Ryan Sage, I'm Jared DeAnder. Don't go anywhere.
Rockstar Energy gets me energized so I can go out and send it. Hustle on.
I watched my first race yesterday.
You're on the team, kid. It's orientation day.
Hey, new guy, let's get you up to speed.
Lunchtime. Your workspace is ready.
Looks like you got a corner office.
Be part of something greater. Toyota. Let's go places.
All right, welcome back as we are seeing up there on the line, Darren Kelly, coming to us from New Zealand, Auckland, New Zealand, the heart of racing, Aston Martin, pedal commander burnout box. Great to see Darren back here on U.S. soil, ready to run. GT radials on the corners. Great looking car, great sounding car. Just obviously a unique build in itself.
Okay, going back to what I was saying before the break.
Yeah.
So we obviously take this for granted now, right? We have replays. It's kind of nice up here, you know, broadcast, whatever. But the first year,
yeah,
I mean, we weren't even taping for TV yet. We had the 360 guys that were videotaping.
That's right.
Remember that?
Yeah,
so
Robbie and Paul.
Imagine an event where the run happens and that's it.
Yeah, we're spoiled now, right?
Yeah.
And even then, you know, I know Ryan Lontaine on his podcast of Outer Zone with Jacob, he said, I wish we get in-car of every single driver. So maybe, you know, Ryan, spend some more money.
Sure.
Here we go, Darren Kelly initiating. Great run from the Kiwi. So far, very fluid. Nice job in that first outside zone. Coming to the second outside zone. Barely gets that back left in. Just a highly wound machine. Sounds so good. What a great exhaust note. Music to our ears now. Brings around that final inside clip. Solid run there for Darren Kelly.
We're really starting to be able to see the decel light, what we call the decel light, functioning really awesome at nighttime. Now, the way that I like to think about this when you look at Darren Kelly's run is it's a G-based light. So imagine you have a pendulum with fishing line hanging from the center of your car. And depending on what you're doing, that's where the pendulum is going, whether it's going backwards or forwards, is you're going to get green, yellow, or red, right? Red is our definition of a decel. Green means the G's are continuing to go back.
Right.
Yellow
So
means they're
right
starting
there.
to slow. So that's the pendulum coming forward. Right now he's back on. He's accelerating. Consistent acceleration. There he goes. He got a little bit more green, more green. A little bit of slowing down. Stays there, back on green. So I think even though this run is really about Darren Kelly, and it's a pretty solid run for him, all things considered, it's a really great tool for us to have to talk about and to understand what's going on with the cars physically, especially when they're so close together, especially when there's contact, collision, all that kind of stuff.
And how will that be utilized? Again, not so much in qualifying right now, but it is, as you said, I think the best word to describe a tool. How is that going to come into play?
Well,
or when will it?
Whenever you see red, when we have the entire series that's laying red in particular areas of the course, that's how we get the decel zones. As we take a look at the 79.66 here from Darren Kelly.
Go.
The other part of it is like you can imagine that once the decel zones or momentum maps is set, if you had a collision outside of a momentum map and the lead driver was red when he shouldn't be, and the chase driver is green, that's an indication that the lead driver wasn't doing something that you're supposed to be doing. And so that's a helpful tool. We can go beyond our eyes and let computers tell us what's going on.
All right, let's see what we got here from Nick Novak. Novak.
Oh, tire off.
Whoa, you're going to need that. Oh, Novak goes hard into the kitty litter. That back right, the tire debeads. Oh, that's a bummer for Novak. The Novak Racing GT Radial BMW. All right, so back right, yeah.
Wow.
It looks like it's wonky, huh? Obviously.
A little bit, yeah.
Okay, so unfortunately Novak will head back up the hill. That's going to be an incomplete. So also, like I said, Federico not here. Josh Reynolds, I don't think he's here. I obviously didn't have his first run. Federico, Joshua Reynolds, Adam LZ, obviously not here. So 35 drivers here. So right now, 3 drivers are going to be watching from the sideline. That's considering that all the other drivers do pilot their vehicles.
All right, so we talked about maybe one of your favorite styles, favorite drivers, but what favorite car have you seen over the last 20 years that really just sticks in your brain?
All right, so
that was funny.
So Nick Novak's bumper being pedaled back up top, but that's going to be an incomplete, unfortunately, for Nick Novak.
Yeah, it was a huge initiation, big angle. That right rear just did not hang on. Had zero grip at that point on that side of the car. Let's take a look at it again.
And
big initiation right there.
I
Looks on the rumble strip. Yeah, it looks like it popped on the rumble strip, got off, and that's, I mean, pretty much out of your hands at that point.
Yeah, you're going along for the ride.
Yep.
So yeah, Novak hitting that rumble strip. All right. Let's catch. I got to catch up with Alex from Torque Motorsport.
Catching up with yourself.
And catching up with myself.
All right, so we talked about maybe one of your favorite styles, favorite drivers, but what favorite car have you seen over the last 20 years that really just sticks in your brain?
One of the most unique vehicles to come around would be the new Mustang. Is sick. So good. Vaughn and the team, just the back angle, that back rear quarter.
Yeah.
Chef's kiss.
How does it feel to see James back on the field?
Bro, James Dean is back at it like a track addict. The 3-time champ. Can he do it in a Mustang? TBD.
That's going to be exciting to see. I'm excited to watch him.
Mr. Martini, shaken not stirred, part of the Torque Motorsports team, and Martini creating a lot of content at our rounds of competition, and it's good to see him contribute. All right, so as the sun sets, Ryan, you said the track changes. How looser, grippier? What's your kind of assessment?
Oh, here you go. Let's take a look at this real quick. This is currently the standard so far. It was the first run of the day, a 93 Vaughn Gittin Jr. You get to kind of see what really appeals to the judges in various aspects of this run. It was a really good initiation. He had a great rate to angle. The snap transition back around to outside zone 1 was incredible, and he finishes strong, right? You could hear the car screaming all the way. And track conditions at that point, the sun had gone down, so it just looks like Vaughn had done a really good job understanding after driving here and having so much data on this course, what to do in these conditions at nighttime, how to set up the car, making sure that everything for him is as predictable as possible.
Yep. You know, it's really great to see Vaughn Gittin Jr. back here and again setting that bar. Ryan Turk, Frederick Osbo, obviously Osbo gets his championship. Ryan Turk, I don't know where he stands on his love or hate for this course. I think everybody loves Atlanta, but overall the star is on Freddie's back, especially here in Atlanta.
I think so, yeah, and one of the guys that would definitely like to do, some damage to him is our old Pro Spec champion.
Pro Spec champion Robert Thorne jumps up from Pro Spec into Pro as Robert Thorne, the ASM BMW, into that outside zone 1, into outside zone 2. Woo, gets all the way out on the edge of the track, getting into the dirt, now transitioning down. Robert Thorne making it look really good. And again, just on his second year of competing in Formula Drift. Last year he did Pro Spec. I'm an absolute wheelman in traditional racing, and here he is in drifting, and they're having a blast, this ASM team. And I know, the Grid Life boys are watching. I know Jabay and Stewart and all them are cheering on Robert Thorne because it's just a cool crossover. Obviously you see drifters go do off-road racing. You see Frederick Osbo do ice racing. Ryan Turk, he's going to be going to Sydney. He's going to Australia to do time attack over there. So, multiple different disciplines for all these drivers, but that's Robert Thorne, the champion of overall Pro Spec on his debut. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, I think some people worry about adaptation from Pro Spec to Pro. I feel good about Robert Thorne being able to do it. I think it'll take him a couple rounds to get settled, but you can just see right here after run number 1, had a little bit of a rough initiation, and then analogously, like I think the way it's going to play out for the season, he gets locked in, gets on that touch and go, hits that inside clip, throttles through it. He will get balanced and centered. Here, let's take a look at this initiation again. You can see almost starts to wash out right there and lose a little bit angle as he shoots too far, but he's able to catch it, make that adjustment, and actually make it look pretty good. So he will get some deductions here, but it's going to be a scored run, and it may be enough to get him into the top 32, which is what he wants. He wants to do competition and compete against the best drivers in the world. And in the offseason, when he called us and said, I would like to move up to pro, it was not something that he was being pushed to do. It was something that he wanted to do.
Yeah, I mean, he has nothing to prove. I mean, I think it's really great to see him just progress. The same car, but you got to think now as we kick things off, more tire, more horsepower, more builds, and more rounds. So going from 4 to 8, it's a big jump logistically.
Double it.
It just double the power, double your fun. It's crazy. So 74.66 for Robert Thorne. It just came out of, I don't say nowhere, but for him making that jump into Pro Spec last year was definitely a shock to the system. Here you had Dimitri Brutsky, who was just on a tear, winning in Pro, what we called Pro 2, now it's Pro Spec. So just dominant over there, but Robert Thorne disrupting the system. All right, here we go, Mike Power. Now living in Southern California, but an East Coast kid. Let's see what Mike Power's got. This Type S S15. See the Type S lights are on. Big, massive angle. Wow, look at that. Big angle from Mike Power. Getting super steezy with it in the outside zone 1. Now coming into 2. Fails to get all the way out there. Gonna try to back and attack that second inside clip in the keyhole. And now hitting that final one right on it. Heard that quick little lift and then back on throttle as he goes past that final clip.
Yeah, Mike Power, definitely a driver to watch, sharpening his skills as an athlete. But one of the things that people may not know is that he has done one of the best jobs in the series as we take a look at that massive initiation of growing his profile, his social media account. He is one of the best to do it, and he did it very, very quickly. And you can see is now that those kind of extracurricular things are matching up with the results, the driver skill. It's a really potent combo. And you can see right here, he is not afraid of this course. He's basically attacking it. Made a little bit, after the big initiation, you saw a little bit of momentum fall off between inside clip 1 and where the touch and go is, right about there. But then he gets back on it. You can see that actually being measured in the data coming off the car. You see that little yellow for a little bit. What the judges want to see is once you get to inside clip 1, it's consistent momentum all the way up the hill. So he'll get some deductions for that. But that was obviously very exciting. You love to see a big angle initiation. That does also maintain that momentum through that first inside clip.
Taking a look, you talk about the momentum zone coming down the hill, up outer zone 1 into 2. So basically momentum, because previously it was kind of like braking area or what we call, but that's where you could basically lift is essentially, you're going to kind of drift into it.
Yeah, all that is just when you're driving a course naturally in drifting, where are the places that you're slowing down and where are the places that you are speeding up? Taking all of that in aggregate and saying, look, there's an expectation there's going to be a slowdown here. There's an expectation there's going to be a slowdown there. And these are not hard ridges start and stop. These are basically generalities of where we see these things. And that allows the judges to have an extra tool to know, was somebody really parking it in a momentum zone, or were they doing it appropriately?
82.33 slides into that number 2 position. Still the 93 holding up. Vaughn Gittin Jr., Mike Power, 82.33. All right, moving right along. Ola Jaeger, the Team Japan Auto Toyota Supra. Another Norwegian driver from Fredrikstad, Ostfold. All right, here we go. Mr. Jaeger. Coming down that beautiful Mark IV Supra, a lot of brake, you saw that. So we talk about the momentum, you see him kind of stomping on it. So again, just utilizing that as a tool. It's not, proof positive. Another tool in the judge's back pocket in the outside zone 2. A lot of angle there. Almost kind of came around. That could have easily came around on him, but it does not. Quick tap of the brake and back up the hill. Mr. Jaeger's run. Some room for correction there, but overall fluid. And we'll have a score in the books.
Yeah, I think the cutoff is going to be in the 70s. Again, you can see a little bit of lack of commitment on the initiation, right? The rate to angle was not really there, and it was kind of a modest initiation. The judges really want to see a huge snap hold that angle and allow that momentum to carry you down to inside clip 1 where you get back on the throttle. But this part of the course here, I think this is done pretty well. You can see he is on the throttle, big smoke line, a little bit late on that touch and go, but that's okay. They just want you to get that front bumper at any point in the touch and go. Now let's take a look at the initiation again. You can see he's a little bit hesitant to get the car to angle, and that kind of showed in the commitment level of the initiation. When he gets to outside zone 2, he laces that pretty well. That was almost as perfect as you can get. He's on that inside hash mark going through the inside clip and then coming down the hill. He's setting himself up pretty good at the latest point of that touch and go and then through the finish line with no problems.
Let's see where he lands as far as score for Ole Jaeger. And here it is. K&N Naka qualifying 82.33, puts him into 3rd position. K&N, official intake of Formula Drift. K&N knockout qualifying. All right, next up, this is Alex Holovnia. Alex coming to us from Ukraine, from Kiev. Comes whipping out of that start chicane. See what Alex can do here his first time in Atlanta. Brings it around, a lot of smoke being kicked off this car. And now into that first outside zone. Comes up shallow, taking that tighter line, and that's just gonna throw him off on the inside clip. Man, this thing is making all the noises. It's a one-man band down there. That thing's ripping and a tearing, man. That thing is sounding like a caged animal, man.
Yeah, and if you remember going back to Long Beach, I think overall Alex had a pretty good debut at Long Beach, a tough course, and then we've got to say, hey, you know what, if that's not tough enough, now come to Road Atlanta and do it over here.
Right.
Let's take a look at the start here, the initiation. He is getting back on throttle way before that inside clip, so that's great. Now coming up the hill right here, he doesn't quite get the momentum push all the way out. It actually cuts the line a little bit and leaves that whole outside zone unfilled. He does wrap through that inside clip on that inside hash mark, and he's on a little bit of a tighter line here through the touch and go, but he is able to get it back around, but in doing so, it causes him to go a little bit wide on that last inside clip. You can see the throttle coming on just right before, a little bit before that inside clip. And as he comes up the hill here, you could imagine the car with a little bit extra push, a little bit more throttle, getting up to that outside zone and filling it and trying to maximize those points. But outside that, pretty aggressive run, very, very loud, big smoke line. I think he will be rewarded in some areas, but certainly there will be some deductions as well.
The Huracan Aspida is his sponsor there. All right, move right along. Kazuya Taguchi, who gained a lot of notoriety last year after his victory. That was really well deserved. St. Louis last year, and just has progressed just over the years, and this car has suited him really well. VR powered, so it's got the GTR engine under the hood. 72.33 for Alex Holovnia.
Yeah, that was a really great inspirational, emotional moment, and it kind of had the never give up motif from Taguchi.
That's really, really well said. Yeah, it's a great observation, and it was really cool. Just the variety of winners we saw last year, from Travis Reeder, Dylan Hughes getting his win in the crazy Orlando conditions in the wet.
You think can we not have that this year?
Yeah, please.
Can we try to avoid that?
Like at any stop. But that was the gnarliest weather we've ever seen. Right now, the weather man is Kazuya Taguchi. Whether he's in or whether he's out, about to find out. Up Garage ISR Performance. 86, look at that, into that. I mean, dial, look at Kazuya Taguchi. Could this best the 93.33 of Von Kane Jr.? Is Kazuya Taguchi gonna assume that #1 spot? That was solid right there. Really good run from Kazuya Taguchi.
Yeah, that was definitely a great start from him. Solid performance overall. And he is trying to stand out here at Road Atlanta, which is a great track to do it at.
Yeah.
This is one of the most dynamic tracks that we have in the series. Let's get a look at it again. Take a look at what he did well here. Coming down very fast. So you can see that decel light comes on. When it goes to blue, that just means neutral. So that means that that the G's became neutral for a second. That's one of the things we use on the start line, but it's also something that can happen during driving as well. His driving is not neutral, however. This is very much a positive for him. Great throttle control, super tight on the touch and go. In fact, filled it more than he really needed to and retained that aggressive approach. Notice the rear wheels. Very little lockups for long periods of time. The manipulation of the e-brake seemed like it was more of a feathering type of control. He's able to fill that second outside zone almost from edge to edge. Perfect on that inside clip. Good wraparound. Maintains a huge smoke line, which showing that throttle commitment and control, and that rate to angle on that last transition, and just holding it right there through the finish line was pretty impressive as well.
All right, an 86, so he does not get the #1 spot, but still a very, very good score, an 86. We'll see him tomorrow in the main event, or excuse me, Saturday in the main event. A long weekend for drivers that are doing double duty. I'm seeing Mike Kajima up here. He's spotting for Evan Bogovic, spotting for Brandon Sorensen. I know the speaking of the Sorensens, Amanda Sorensen's over in Scotland racing alongside RJ Anderson and the Extreme E Series. Tanner Faust is out there as well. All right, here we go. Jeff Jones. Jeff Jones putting it down from Southern California. Sun Valley, the Evil Auto Works, Big Drift Energy, Prisma Labs, Nissan 370Z. Big angle there from Jeff Jones. Got that supercharged LS, nice job. Evil Auto Works, teaming up with him for a couple years now. Dialing it in. Man, look at that. That smoke machine just dropped it so hard. I mean, look at the cloud of smoke coming out back. Showing you the wheel speed that Jones has got. Just the progression of Jeff Jones, you gotta love it. He's having a heck of a time. Him and his wife and just the whole team got to see the debut of his livery and his whole deal, and his energy is really great. It's infectious.
Well, he gave us a very historical moment with his first podium last year at Irwindale to end things off. I think he does owe us a shoey, however, in his supercharger, so we're going to hold him to that. But here in qualifying, getting it to a pretty decent start. Second hash mark on that inside clip, midline, which is what the judges want to see, and just scrapes perfectly on that touch and go. Now, I think on the initiation, he got a little held up a little bit, so there may be a couple deductions there, but just notice the aggressive driving, right? It's a little bit of a longer e-brake pull, and you can see some movement in the car as he gets settled, but I would much rather have over-aggressive driving where mistakes happen than to be tentative and not push as hard as you can. It was a really interesting line that he drew on that second outside zone to the inside cut, very, very wide, and you have to imagine what would happen there if there was a chase driver. Are the judges going to look down on that? Because he still kind of made it back around to that inside clip, but it was a very unique line, one that he may feel is a good line for him to draw. So great job by Jeff Jones. Let's see what the judges think here as he gets his first score. All right, Jeff Jones, 82.66. Great job there for Jeff Jones, 82.66. EVA Auto Works Nissan 370Z, 3.33. K&N knockout qualifying continuing here. Diego Higa from Brazil. I know he's got a lot of Brazilian fans cheering him on. Definitely a talented driver. So I know Leticia Bafani. She's a pro skateboarder for Nike and Red Bull. She's good friends with Diego. She's cheering him on. Here we go, Diego Higa on initiation. Whoa, kind of I was gonna say overshoots it, but it does wrangle it in a bit. Man, really good angle. Great smoke coming off the car into second outside zone. Tight on the inside clip. Liked how he executed that. Did, again, compromise that outside zone 2 to get close proximity to inside clip 1, 2, and 3. There it is, putting a bow on it. Now, this vehicle might seem and sound familiar because this is a vehicle that Ryan Turk campaigned many moons ago.
Well, I think the expectations are pretty high for Diego. He comes with a very good pedigree in Brazil. The initiation, as you said, it almost looked like he was in danger of making a big mistake, but he pulls it off with good angle. Now, the one area of note right here, as you can see, is on the inside of the lower part of outside zone 2. So there's going to be some line points left on the table. But look at the aggressive approach. Running the front bumper right over the rumble strips on that touch and go area. Snaps a transition back around. Here's the initiation once again. It looked like he was running a little bit long, but as you said, Jared, he certainly was able to maneuver the car in such a way that it looked like a save, and it didn't appear to be a mistake when it was all said and done. However, on outside zone number 2, that's much easier to see from a judge's perspective in where the car was with the line. He was on the inside there, so a few points will be deducted off, but I think that was a great run for him overall, and I know we're going to continue to see him do better and better.
88.33, a good run there for Diego Higa. Gets him in the mix. We'll see him in top 32 action Saturday night.
Let's go.
Next up after Diego Higa, we got, looks like Dylan Hughes. Whip Racing, Royal Purple BMW, O'Reilly Auto Parts on the hood, Royal Purple on the doors, and running through the veins. Got the GT radials wrapped around those Forged Star wheels. And Rain-X on the windscreen. Don't say Rain-X. Don't say rain. All right, Dylan Hughes initiates the dozer. Again, notably winner at Orlando last year. Now coming up, nice job. Big angle there and filling all that outside zone 1. Taps into 2. Then it leaves about midpoint. Now back around the 2J powered BMW. Man, quickly just expediting that course. Really well done by the dozer Dylan Hughes.
That was incredibly fast, and you talk about self-awareness as a driver. We won't be able to see it from this shot, but on the approach, you can see the lights were red and yellow coming down the hill, which is natural and to be expected. And right before he gets to that inside clip, the lights turn green, which indicate that he's back on throttle and the G's are moving backwards. He's accelerating and he's going so fast through the course. He's doing a great job overall. There's a couple little areas where some fine tuning watches. So red, it's going to be yellow, and then green. There you go, he's right back on it. So pretty good job here by Dylan Hughes. I think there will be a few deductions in at least all 3 of the categories, but it's a strong run overall. I know he wants to have a great performance here after not the result that he wanted in Long Beach. And we have to remember, he had one of the most historical moments last year at Orlando, really showing his prowess for driving in the rain. Now, we don't expect any rain this weekend, but he has showed us that he's a very diverse driver, can tackle a number of different environments. Dry, wet, hot, cold, it doesn't matter. And there you go.
87.33 for the dozer, Dylan Hughes. Congratulations to him. Royal Purple, Rain-X, Slime. You see all the products. And just building himself a great program there. His Pops, his spotter. Yeah, look at that. So you can see Dylan Hughes sits in 3rd, Taguchi 4th, Jones 5th, Power, Yeager, Darren Kelly, Mohan sitting in 9th. Thorne sitting in 10th, Holovny on 11th. So take a look. And there's where the incompletes begin. Next up is Pacific Northwest brother, Travis Reeder. Similar BMW, similar vibe, but very different drivers and different engine setups. All right, Travis Reeder, the Nicholas Inc. Travis Reeder Motorsports, BMW MP3. Reeder, on in there, takes out that inside clip. All right, now up into the keyhole. How's he gonna manage? Oh, you see him kind of yank the handbrake, trying to get it out there. Had some issues going out to that second outside zone. But dialing in every other spot, kind of almost, you know, similar to that of Dylan's run previously, but didn't even get out to, unfortunately, the outside zone 2.
It looked like there was a lot going on there for Travis Reeder in the car. A lot of manipulation of the vehicle to get it where he wants to go. He does tap that inside clip. He is flying right now, but he's trying to get settled and lock into this outside zone. Now he's on the inside of it, so unfortunately there will be some line deductions there. Gets that tighter line through that inside clip. Coming down the hill here to the touch and go, he's about 4 feet off maybe at the maximum. So he is seemingly just a little bit not Reeder-esque at the moment. Big long e-brake pull, and the timing of that doesn't correspond exactly to where he wants to put the car. He does hit that inside clip. This will clearly be a scored run, but we know that from Reeder's ability and his past experience and all the things that he's done, he's got a much better run in him. But he may not need that second run.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't think it's that drastic, but still, we got a lot of drivers still yet to throw down. About halfway through. Yeah, about halfway through our drivers list here. And Travis Reeder, 79.66 in this Nicholas BMW. So good run for Travis Reeder. Puts him in 8th position. So you were thinking, you're guesstimating what, 75 and lower? You think that's going to be kind of the cutoff?
Maybe, yeah. I feel like that's a good guess.
Yeah. Back at the top of the hill, Brandon Sorensen, the United States Air Force BMW from Las Vegas. And Sorensen definitely piquing a lot of interest of his competitors and gaining some fans. So let's see what Brandon Sorensen's got for us. Brandon initiates, you see a quick little correction of that front wheel. Now he's on pace. Wow, ripping up into the outside zone 1. Taps into the outside zone 2. Seeing that angle there, you can just see how downhill it truly is. Now past the touch and go and past that inside clip. Again, just very, very fast through the course. Maybe slow it down and get a little bit more methodical, Ryan.
Well, rolls into it here. Pretty good angle coming through that inside clip. You can see he's trying to get back on throttle before there to not slow up at the bottom of the hill too much. Wrapping through this second outside zone. Hits that inside clip. Great job there. Nice little transition back around. Now coming down the hill. Great job on the touch and go and finishing up pretty strong. Looked like he did knock that inside clip coming down the hill. He'll take a look at it again. He was back on throttle very, very early there, and that allowed him to really push with good momentum coming up the hill. But unfortunately, he just gets a rear wheel there, doesn't fill that outside zone completely. And as he switch backs around, coming down into this touch and go, he's going to finish up pretty strong for the judges here. I think this will be a good overall score, above average, and even with a couple little mistakes, it should still be good enough to get him through the top 32.
And there it is, Brandon Sorensen with an 81. An 81 there for Brandon Sorensen. High-flying Brandon Sorensen. Brandon Sorensen puts his score in the books. Next up, Odie Bakshi's Field Suspension GT Radial S15. See how Odie does. Originally from Lithuania. Now in Southern California. Warming up those GT Radial tires. You know, a lot of these drivers, you know, this is the second round. You know, Odie with Falcon kind of departing with Formula Drift, the championship. They've been around since day one, since 04, here in 20 years. Unfortunately, they're not with us, but obviously, you know, I feel like maybe we'll see him back in Formula Drift. But a lot of these drivers, I say that because he's been competing on Falcons forever, I mean, exclusively for such a long time. So here he is making the jump to GT Radial, and we'll see how it works out for him. Field suspension, S15. And now Odie, look at that. Filling all the outside zone 1, getting to 2. Look at that, you barely saw a little bit of dirt being sprayed up and roosted out, but loud and proud, man, look at the smoke being created, goes back through his smoke signal. Very aggressive driving there. Tell you what, I mean, sheesh. Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde, that was solid there from Odie Bakshi's.
That was amazingly aggressive, especially leaving the keyhole. I mean, that was as loud as I've heard a car so far with as big of a smoke line. Nice line being drawn after that initiation. He is flying up the hill, right on the rumble strip. Great line to outside zone 2. So much tire spin that he kicks up a little bit of dirt there, and right there a huge puff of smoke, but just a massive amount of wheel speed. But man, Odie tore that apart. I think that's going to be one of the better runs of the night. Let's take a look at the initiation. You can see he's a little bit longer of an e-brake pull. He kind of slows the momentum down a little bit before he gets back online. I know the judges want to try to see as much fluidity through there as they can, but outside of that, this is an incredible run. We know Odie didn't have the result that he wanted in Long Beach. He's
done so well at this event in the past. He knows the course like the back of his hand. We can expect big things for him.
Yeah, Odie, like I said, new tire for him. Still, knows a lot about suspension. We saw Ben Hobson. I'm sure there's Ben Hobson, #1 qualifier in Pro Spec. Sure, they're doing some, obviously sharing of perspectives and setups. So got some great insight from #1 qualifier Ben Hobson, who joined his team. 90.66, so not better than a 93. The Vaughn Ginn Jr. So Vaughn still holds on to the #1 spot, but a great score for Odie Bakshis. We're going to see him on game day. 90.66 slides into second. Look at the X factor, 6 out of 10.
Yeah, I think anything above a 5 is an indication that the judges were excited.
Something special. All right, just blowing some dirt and some dust off course here. Little debris there. What's one of your fondest memories here at Atlanta, Ryan?
Oh, geez. From a competition standpoint, it's really hard to beat the Vaughn Osbo run.
Yep.
Remember that in the rain when it started coming down and Vaughn hits him and runs over him. That definitely, that was before memification of things. But that was that was a big one. The multiple one more times between Taka Aono, who's here, and Samuel Hubinet back in 2004, 2005.
04, 05.
That, I think, for a lot of people.
Was that Taka or was it Pfeiffer?
Maybe it was.
I think it was Pfeiffer.
I know Taka and Sam had some battles that are definitely very historical, but that right there, the complete differences between 1,000 horsepower, Comp Coupe, Dodge Viper, and a little AE86. I think that defined drifting in a certain sense for me. So that was really cool. I can remember some of our staff members throwing up in the early days. That's pretty funny.
Parties, good times.
When everybody was young. Yep.
Partying at TGI Fridays now. Taco Mac seems to be the spot to go to. Yeah, the off-track stuff and on-track stuff. Andy Yen losing a wheel here. Dio Shihara, his S13. What's another one? Gosh, there's just been so many. As we're taking a look, there's our champions yesteryear. 04, 06, Sammy Hubinet and Reese Millen, both inducted into the Formula Drift Hall of Fame at round 1. Your associate co-founder, Ryan, Jim Lau, coming out and joining us and inducting those guys, getting the ring. But look at those names there. That's why I say, early on, careers were forged here. And for Chris Forsberg winning that first championship in 09, that was kind of the people's champ. And then you see Vaughn, Daigo, Michael Essa, obviously Forsberg, the first ever 3-time champ, and then James Dean. It's just great to have him back here. I'd really love to get Daigo Saito back here. I think that would just really round out those that are still competing in drifting. Michael Essa hanging it up this year as well. That was a memory that I remember, that really wet, rainy one, and he hit that inside clip 1, and the mud just went inside of his whole cockpit. That was nuts. That was bonkers. All right, so Chris Forsberg on the line, the NOS Energy Drink All New Z. Chris Forsberg, again, 3-time champion, winning that year in 2009. And Chris Forsberg, again, just a stacked grid in Long Beach. And I know Chris wasn't exactly enthralled of his results in Long Beach, but now here he is in Atlanta. He's been here since day 1, 2004. Barely knocks over that inside clip, now working it all the way up into that first outside zone. Now outside zone 2, gets out there, dips that back left GT radial. Now transitions back down the hill. Very aggressive angle. You can see the line from Forsberg. Goes in on the inside of that inside clip.
Well, like a lot of drivers, Chris Forsberg has cut his teeth here at Road Atlanta. And, he is one of the most historic and decorated drivers in the series, another 3-time champion. Let's get a look here at the initiation. Lets it float out, gets right back on throttle, right at that inside clip, coming up the hill. Just a little bit shallow on that first outside zone. Better on the second, but just right at the edge. Super tight on the inside clip in the horseshoe. Now leaving, coming down into the touch and go. Maybe about a foot off there. Wrapping back around and actually goes over the rumble strip through that last inside clip. And getting another look here from another angle. Big snap, one direction. Just glancing that inside clip. And man, he is also
flying up the hill there, pushing out, and you can see that rear wheel just touches that line to the outside zone. And we have to remember, like, the line is an important factor, but you've got style, you've got angle, and you've got X factors. And each deduction, each mistake is quantified in itself. So if you have a driver that just misses an outside zone, maybe that might be a 3-point deduction overall. And that's still going to be an amazing score if all the other elements are brought together into the run.
All right, so Chris Forsberg awaiting his score. Like I said, more than halfway through. 81.33 puts him into 9th. Should be mid-pack, obviously, when the pieces fall where they do. As the cookie crumbles, so 81.33 for Chris the Force Forsberg, 3-time champ. All right, gentlemen from right here in Georgia, Comp Cam's Corvette, Comp Cam's Kenda Tire, Yellow Speed Racing Corvette. From Sonoya, Georgia, full pole, Taylor Hull. All right, Taylor Hull getting the thumbs up, and Sopa sends him on down. Right. Here we go. All right, Taylor Hull coming down, stars and stripes, and Smokey all over. Past that inside clip. Big snap, big, nice, nasty flick and transition. How does he handle the keyhole? Oh no. Shuts her down. Ah, such a bummer. Fires it back up. So unfortunate for Taylor Hull. Drives with a lot of passion. Him and his wife spotter. And Taylor Hull makes his way back up. Unfortunately, that will be an incomplete. He will have to complete his second run in order to make the show.
Yeah, that was definitely more car than it was driver.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, the car did not cooperate with him right there on outside zone 2. The run was starting to come together pretty well, so you have to imagine that he'll go back, make sure everything is cool with the car, and go and do it again and get himself into the top 32.
Yep.
But here's the story so far, Jared. Vaughn, run number 1, still sitting at top. Odi Bakchi's starting to chip away, but just about 2.5 points difference. Diego Higa, the Brazilian, in 3rd place, and we see the rest of the field, a couple incompletes as we make our way through this top, these 37, 38 drivers that we have in the Pro Series this year in 2023.
Well, a few of them are not here. Josh Reynolds, Federico Sharifo, excuse me, Adam LZ. So those 3 drivers are not here, so whittle that down. So 35 drivers, as long as the remaining drivers are here. Trenton Beecham, new car for him. Trenton Beecham, Nexen Tires, Clonex Racing, BMW, from Southern California. Let's see how he handles this new build here. Just wrapping it up right before Long Beach, so not a lot of seat time in this. Hopefully got some more seat time between Long Beach, Super Drift, and here.
I thought he did really, really well in Super Drift.
Yes, most definitely.
He looked a lot more comfortable.
Yeah, just again, seat time. Just getting more comfortable. Man with machine versus machine. All right, seeing what's going on here, finding out. Okay. We're talking about the debut of the vehicle, and unfortunately it seems that Trenton Beecham has an issue. He's going to call a competition timeout, so that'll be a 5-minute allotment once he gets hands on the car. Don't know exactly what's going on. We'll see if we get an update here from Beecham. Okay, maybe some nitrous spraying, or tried to purge it real quick and something didn't happen. It wasn't blowing, so gotta check that out. Maybe it could be something simply the bottle wasn't turned on or something. You never know. What's that? Yeah, you gotta make sure. So, all right, as we wait for Dean Carnage Carney, let's learn more about the Brazilian driver Diego Higa.
Hey guys, my name is Diego Higa. I'm a pro rookie in the Formula Drift 2023. This is my car, Toyota GT86. I use the 2J engine. He has 1,000 horsepower. I'm running Fueltech ECU, wide fab angle kit, and GT radial tires. I started drifting when I was 14 years old. I won the Brazilian Drift Championship 8 times in the run. I also won the Hyperdrive series on Netflix. It was my dream to be here today in Formula Drift. I worked my whole life for this. I can't wait to meet the fans. Come to say hi.
There we are, as we said, Vaughn Ginn Jr. currently #1. Odi Bachis, Diego Higa sits in 3rd. Dylan Hughes, Kazuya Taguchi, top 5. Dean Carnage Carney, top of the hill. HyperNFT.io. So the hypercar, Dean Carney. See how he handles the Dodge Viper here. Firing off and coming down the chute. Using all the course, you see him get into the dirt real quick. Big angle from him, takes out that inside clip. Mean looking machine now coming into the keyhole. Wow, look at that, turning on the smoke. That wheel speed, just, you can hear this thing wind up. Into that final inside clip, kind of going back there. And just ripping through the course. Dean Carnage Carney. All right, let's take a look at again. Your thoughts, Ryan?
Well, you know, watching practice, Dean had some of the most insane runs of the weekend so far. Unfortunately, this is not one of them. He comes up a little bit tight on that inside clip. Didn't get a great start on the initiation. He's trying to push out to the second outside zone, but he comes up short. So we're seeing not only some line deductions, but probably some angle and X factor points not being allocated. Gets a little bit wide on that touch and go. So not the fine tuning that we would like to see from Dean. He gets way out wide, hits that dirt, big long e-brake pull, really slows the momentum down. He does get back on throttle before that inside flip, but imagine being a chase driver in that situation. How are the judges going to treat that and look at that? They want to see smoothness, consistency, predictability, et cetera, et cetera. It is a very aggressive run, it's a very smoky run, so there will certainly be some points there. I think this will get him into the top 32, but I know there's much more that Dean can offer us in terms of his driving ability on this course.
All right, let's see how it's reflected in his score. And there it is, 76.33. As you said, you know, he definitely could, as you said, from practice to there, could push it a little cleaner. So 76.33, but gets him in the mix. We'll see if that holds. Again, the format this year, all the judges, the 3 judges, there's 4 judges in total. 3 are actually officiating each round. 1 remains as driver's steward. And we'll discuss with Sean Adriano and if there's any issues. And of course, so this round, Chris Ewell, Brian Egger, and Ryan Lontaine, and all of them scoring all of the criteria. It's not broken up, so total of 100 points. All right, well, we'll clean up the course, and when we come back, some more Formula Drift here at Road Atlanta.
When I started as a stunt driver, I had to create my own path. So I got in my Ford and I got to work. Literally every moment of the day, I just trained. And now I can confidently say that I'm one of the top drivers in this industry.
Streets of Long Beach. Look at that. It is a beautiful day here in Southern California. K&N, the official performance air filter of Formula Drift.
NGK makes ignition coils. Why? Because we prefer a running partner that can keep pace. We know ignition, and since our spark plugs don't run alone, we put some of our energy and expertise into making better coils. NGK ignition coils are engineered to OE durability and performance. And because we race to win, we improve the design, testing, and validation of our coils for better performance. NGK spark plugs and coils, better together.
Rockstar energy gets me energized so I can go out and send it. Hustle on.
All right, welcome back. The lights are officially all on. The sun has set. And it is local time at 9 p.m. All right. So next up, we should be seeing Kenshiro Gushi, Threes Racing Toyota GR86. Oh, we are going back to Trenton Beecham, actually. So Trenton Beecham hopefully figured out, as we said, that nitrous. See if he purged the line or what's going on. But Beecham, a new vehicle for him this year. And as you said, Sage, a lot more comfortable from Long Beach round 1 to Super Drift the following weekend. And then now seeing him dialed here in Atlanta. That's who we got for Beecham. Next entire Clonex Racing BMW. Initiates, using all the forces. A lot of handbrake there being pulled. Knocks over, kisses that inside clip. Into outside zone 1, big angle from him. Get another yank of the handbrake. Into the keyhole and exits out, dials in that inside clip. And finally, wow, look at that. Yeah, again, this car suits him so much better than the Ford Mustang. Seemed like he's really fighting it. This, again, good synchronicity between him and the vehicle.
Well, it was an interesting dilemma for him to have to figure out whether or not they wanted to use the competition timeout when he was having issues with what appeared to be the nitrous on the line. So he will not have that competition timeout to use, and hopefully it'll pay off here. Let's take a look at the run more in detail and see if he's able to get a score that's going to get him where he wants to go in the top 32 bracket, because ultimately that does determine, I think, a lot of the success. Are you on a side of a bracket where it's absolute killers, or guys that are maybe having a tougher event overall? And so that bracket positioning and the strategy of how to get yourself there is always an important factor overall in drifting. Now, I think this is a pretty decent run. It's not as clean as some of the higher scored runs that we've seen. He's going to get some line deductions and probably not a lot of X factor, but he's probably going to be in the top 32 overall. Yeah. And then it just becomes about, where is it? 1 through 32, where does he slot in?
So revisiting Dean Carnage-Carney. Again, few incompletes. Nick Novak, Taylor Hull, Joao Barillon, Christos Bluch, and that straining Ryan Literal. So those drivers, if you get a score at this point, you're going to be in the show. Yeah, so 78 to 78 for Trenton Beecham. So now we're going to go back to Kenshiro Gushi, the OG, the original Gushi, on the line. That Threes Racing Toyota Racing GR86. All right, here comes Goosh. The Goosh is loose. competed here since day one, many different vehicles over the years, but this V6 build and engine is very unique, cool setup, sounds really unique compared to some of the other builds and the other 86s. There goes Gucci into that second outside zone. Has a little struggle to get out to that second outside zone, but the Modi's Toyota 86 comes to a halt, and that will be an incomplete. Oh man, what a bummer there for Goosh. Comes to a halt. Where did it go south? Kind of getting buried in that smoke there.
Yeah, well, you can definitely tell he was putting out a lot of wheel speed to generate that smoke. If we go back to the end of last year, he had a strong second half of the season, had that win at Salt Lake City. That put him into the top 10. In Long Beach, didn't really have the performance I think that he wanted to have. And we have to remember, Ken is running his own team now. He's doing everything by himself. So everything that you see out on course is a compilation of all the efforts that he's doing individually for himself. So let's see what happens here on the incomplete as he leaves outside zone 2. He gets to the touch and go, wraps back around, and you know what it looks like? The car just got bounded up a little bit, transitioned too quickly, couldn't hold the angle, and came to a spin. So unfortunately, it will be an incomplete for Ken Gucci, and he will have to run number 2.
All right, so unfortunately, Gucci comes to a halt. Another, like I said, if you get a score on the board, you're going to be in competition because we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 incompletes. We have 35 drivers in competition, so that means, again, 3 drivers will be watching from the sideline. Get a score, and you're going to be in head-to-head competition. So it sounds like the suspension issue with Gucci. So when we come back, we'll be back at it, and it'll be Simon Olsen on that start line.
I watched my first race yesterday.
You're on the team, kid. It's orientation day.
Hey, new guy, let's get you up to speed.
Lunchtime. Your workspace is ready.
Looks like you got a corner office.
Be part of something greater. Toyota. Let's go places.
GT Radio. Experience ultra high performance.
Rockstar Energy gets me energized so I can go out and send it. Hustle on.
All right, we are back at the track, and we are intended to see Simon Olsen. Field suspension S14.9. So he's parked the Supra that he's been campaigning for a couple years and teamed up with Odi Bakshis. And he says he's loving the car. First LS, first S chassis, and he's feeling the flow. You see the fist pump there for Matt Sopa and Simon Olsen. Sopa will be back here tomorrow in the booth, is what I mean. Not down there on the line, a great driver, a great friend, and again, joining me up here in the booth right now, Simon Olsen. Simon Olsen slides inside clip, takes it out. So a little aggressive driving there from Simon. See the thing hopping its way past the rumble strips and outside zone 2. Does not get all the way out there. I mean, look at, so that, again, that angle, that camera angle really shows you the slant and the elevation change from top to bottom. Now brings it back up the hill, so skipping that outside zone 2, but the rest of the track dialing it in.
Well, I think this year is a really big opportunity for Olsen to kind of show his real talent as a driver, because you know that Odi's going to put together, and the field suspension team is going to put together an incredible car for him, and you have seen that from the get-go. It just looks like he's more comfortable behind the wheel. Now, as we take a look at this run, it's amazingly aggressive. There's a few areas of mistakes. He was a little bit tight on that last inside clip and got a little bit wonky coming out of the horseshoe. But let's take a look at it again. A little bit of a long e-brake pull, but back on throttle way early before that inside clip. He does hit it. Now moving up the hill here. Great angle as he pushes out as wide as he can, but look, he comes up quite a bit short on that outside zone. Huge angle there, leaving inside clip number 1. Now coming down to the touch and go. Much better job there into that final transition as he blows a huge plume of smoke and cruises right through the finish line.
All right, 78, a 78 for Simon Olsen. Again, gets a score on the board, you're gonna be in the game. All right, next up, the LTH Jado Metaldam Toyota GR86. Jonathan Castro from Dominican Republic. Looks like sans that back left fender. Got into it earlier in practice. Just left it off. So let's see how Castro ends up. Mobile 1 oil running through the veins. Yeah, impeccable weather. Absolutely ideal. It kind of be in, you know, I'm in shorts, you're in pants. Like, could throw a jacket on. I'm just saying, like, it's whatever you feel comfortable in. Not too hot, not windy. You know, the forecast here, it just changes every hour, man. So we've seen all the weather conditions here. It's been cold, it's been really hot. Right now, the track is hot with Jonathan Castro. Castro, Excel, goes on the brakes there real quick. Kind of at idle. Guys taking up that inside clip, they know they need to risk it. Just seeing everybody else driving. Castro, very fluid. Comes in, little quick yank of the handbrake. Massaging into that second outside zone. Nice job for him. Jonathan Castro dialed. Really well done. Look at Castro. It's got to be I mean, you're always good at kind of critiquing runs there and breaking it down, but where's that land for you points-wise?
It's going to be, I mean, there's some mistakes. Yeah, it's going to be mid-80s probably.
Okay.
But the one thing that The one thing I wanted to note, and this was spoken about in the drivers' meeting quite a bit, is that the judges want to see angle being used to slow the car down into outside zone number 2. Now watch how much angle he pours into the car right there as he knows he's offline for a second. Instead of freaking out and getting all crazy, he puts more angle in the car and he's able to fill that zone and make what appeared to be the beginning of a mistake look like a much smaller correction. So let's take a look at it again here. A little bit of a longer e-brake pull, and look, you know, it's everybody does it. It's using a tool, but you don't want it to become a crutch. And then right there you can see that adjustment in the front wheels. That looked like that was going to be bad, but he used angle in the car to slow the car down, get himself repositioned, and he kind of saved it there. So I think, I don't know, I'm trying to think Oracle ball, maybe 83.66 or something like that. I don't know.
All right, let's see.
In the new scoring system, I don't have the mental
fortitude.
I don't have like the read on it that I will after, you know, a couple events.
All right, Ryan and I are back here. We got Pat Gentili, we got Brian Olfert, we got the judges there on the front row: Chris Yule, Brian Eggert, Ryan Lantain. Moving on down, we got Robin Shido, Sean Adriano. Got Steph Papadakis back there. Andy looks really angry. I don't know why he's so mad. Feed that gentleman back there. You got ODP, Old Dirty Panda. Got Shaldo, or one half of Shaldo. You got Aldo. Scott right there. Scott, you spotting for Mr. Power still? Is that what's going on? Just hanging out?
Okay, see, I'm
81.
I'm in the ballpark. I was going to say if I was 82.33 to 82.66, I was going to leave the building.
Got it.
And just go home and let you deal with it.
Drop the mic?
Yeah.
Mr. Stuckey, again, just listened to his podcast with Jake on Outer Zone. Some great insight there. Really enjoyed listening to Stuckey and him get stokey on himself and his program, and he's having a good time. All right, Daniel Stuckey, M-Spec Performance, S Chassis, big angle there from him. Nice job. Now coming up the hill. How's he manage? Man, the wheel's just bouncing as he goes across that rumble strip. The Vitor tires. Now coming back down, and he said he's loving the tires. Loving the build this year, feeling confident. A little braking up there as he crosses that final inside clip.
Yeah, I think one of the interesting things about Stuckey is he has become one of the best drivers in the series in such a short time frame. I mean, 3 years ago we had no idea who this kid was, and then all of a sudden he's out there duking it out with the best of the best. And we can see his comfort level, the ability, the effort that he puts into his program starting to manifest itself in a lot of different ways. Now, if you take a look at the run here, really tight on that touch and go. He had a little bit of a problem with outside zone 2, and right there towards the finish line, making sure that he's keeping angle in the car. Let's get a look at it again from the beginning here. He now not as aggressive on the e-brake. He lets it roll out, utilizes that angle to slow it down. Now moving up the hill, and he angles up a little bit too much, and he's not able to get it out to that outside zone. You really kind of have to get that timing right as you're coming up the hill. Gravity's working against you. You're trying to find the exact timing to get out to outside zone 2. But other than that, a couple little mistakes here. It's going to be a scored run. He's going to get in the top 32. It's just a matter of where he's going to fall in the bracket.
A few more drivers left. Talking, we're in the top 10. So Stuckey finished 10th in Long Beach. Kind of got one of his dream battles. He said he wanted to go against James Dean, and he did that. So stoked on that. Forced him to it one more time. Properly groomed kitty litter there, and Vaughn Gint Jr. still stands at the top of the heap. But as the plot thickens and we move our way up the ladder, I think he'll be challenged by, again, notably Matt Field, our winner from Long Beach. You got Osbo, RCP, Hurst, Turk, Dean, Chelsea Denofa, Forrest Wang, and right now, Alec Robbins. Alec Robbins. Self-made status, Nissan 350Z. Non-stop tickets on Kenda tires. Here comes Robbins. Yank of the handbrake. Navigates past the inside clip. Big angle from him. That's what you're talking about, Ryan. So, unfortunately, too much angle, which caused him to trip up and shoot in on the shallower line. Good throttle control. You can see it absolutely. All right, so Alec Robbins, again, having some difficulty there with that that second outside zone.
Well, it gets a really early initiation at that second standing cone, and he is flying. I mean, look at the amount of green on the car all the way up the hill. It actually goes to neutral there for a second and then immediately picks back up on green. So he is going super fast. He's continuing to push G's to the back of the car. Comes through that touch and go area, gets that front left wheel right over the rumble strip. Nice snap back around to that inside clip and finishes up really strong. I remember it wasn't so long ago he qualified #1 in St. Louis. We know that he's got it in him, the ability to succeed here in the series. As he gets to this outside zone, though, like a lot of drivers having a little bit trouble, maybe the track is a bit more gripped up than it was when it was a bit warmer, and people are having to make those adjustments almost in real time and try to figure out, do I have enough data on this track from last year to know how my setup should be given everything that's going on in the 23 season. So he will get a scored run. Let's see what the judges think.
And there it is, an 81 for Alec Robbins, an 81 for Alec Robbins. All right, so Alec Robbins finishes his run. He will be in head-to-head competition right now. It's Forrest Wang. Forrest Wang back at it. Back in the mix, so another driver re-entering Formula Drift, the Yellow Speed NRG S15. About to get nuts, the Get Nuts Laboratory S chassis. Always has definitely aesthetically pleasing vehicles. Definitely got his own kind of signature style. More JDM, stanced out. Big fluid swings from Forrest Wang. Has a cult-like following from his fans. Let's see what we got here from Forrest Wang. Looking slick, looking good. Taking a slick into big angle there. Nice job by Forrest Wang. Look at that counter steer. The chrome wheels just blinging out. The second outside zone. Look at that. Digs deep. There's a shovel. Can you dig it? Yes, he can. Now coming out of the keyhole. Let's see how it executes on this final inside clip. Ryan Forrest Wang has re-entered the chat room here in Atlanta.
Well, I mean, it's pretty widely considered, or he is pretty widely considered to be one of the more stylish drivers with kind of that original drifting style in the sport. For many years, he was a bit slower than everybody else, and then he was able to adapt and not only get the speed, but keep the style, keep the big angle, the big initiations, the smooth transitions, locking it in with the appropriate rate to angle. He is one of those few drivers so far that has filled that second outside zone, showing complete car control here. Very smooth transition, nice and tight on that touch and go, wrapping around through that inside clip. And that was a solid run for the veteran of the sport, Forrest Wang. The initiation, he kind of rolls into it, feathering the e-brake down. Maybe got on throttle a little bit late there after that inside clip, but I think it was just at the point of no return. But he does a great job timing the momentum of the vehicle, getting up into that second outside zone. And just love how fluid that transition is back around. Goes on a mid-inside line to that touch and go, and then strong finish there through that final inside clip and the finish line.
Again, just a ravenous fan base for Forrest Wang. Those fans are cheering him on, so let's see what we got here from Forrest Wang score-wise. And here it is, Cannon knockout qualifying 91. A 91 for Forrest Wang. All right, so the Yellow Speed Racing S15 NRG getting it done. Chelsea Denofa, Pennzoil, Mustang RTR, Spec 5D, the all-new Ford Mustang. New headlights, new taillights, looking great. Chelsea Denofa, talked to him this morning at the hotel and seemed adamant. He's ready to do it the way he does it, man. He throws down. Well, we saw, one of the three Mustangs already get it done. That was Von Gittin Jr. right out of the gate with a 93.33. All right, Chelsea on the start. Pennzoil Synthetics, BC Racing, and Chelsea is clear to send. Here comes Chelsea Nova down the hill. Initiates. Yank of the handbrake. Wow, obliterates. Oh man, absolutely smacks that front left corner. You see the body kind of coming off. Wow, look at that massive angle. Lifting up that front right tire, that front right ditto, but just sinking his ditto tires in like teeth. Wow. Takes off some more body parts, that front left. You can see that kind of accessory piece, that design piece of the RTR. Speaking of the RTR, the Mustang RTR will be debuted in Orlando.
I would be surprised if there's any tread left on those Nittos. I mean, that was just so abusive. And obviously the moments that stood out, besides the aggressive, crazy driving, filling that second outside zone, doing a pretty good job on the inside clip, was the first and last inside clip. Both times he came up a little bit tight. Right there you can see almost three tires off maybe. I don't think it was 3, but I saw that really quickly. And then right there again, he almost center punches it. So that's really the only big mistakes. You correct for that, it's a pretty impressive run. Of course, he's driving at the limit, which is what Chelsea DeNova tends to do all the time. And we either see magic or destruction. And this time,
a little bit of both.
It was a little bit of both. As you can see,
gosh.
We're definitely going to need the blower for that one.
Yeah, well, coincidentally, Ryan, I don't know if you've seen this, the Fun Haver booth RTR. It's DeNova's Pizza and Bumper Repair. So he's got some hats and shirts for sale, and they do that because his bumper budget is just astronomical. He goes through a lot of bumpers, but you got to risk it sometimes, and he risks it a lot of times. But swing by the Fun Haver Tour booth tomorrow to grab a box, throw it up in the stands, and it's got some cool sayings inside the box. So it's cool packaging, cool gear. Check it out over there and support. If you're a DeNova fan, that's where you're going to want to get your gear.
Yeah, you know, a lot of people say it's really important to have the secondary aspects of your program with marketing and content and all that kind of stuff. Chelsea has one of those rare situations where his driving is the marketing arm of his program for in a lot of ways. It's what has resonated with a lot of fans in the sport, the fact that he pushes so hard and does these really crazy and incredible things and really just test the limit of whatever car that he's driving. And it just so happens to be in a Mustang with a great team that's got an amazing pedigree. And I'm not sure where this score is going to come in. Obviously, there were some mistakes there, but I think the X factor will probably be pretty decent, if not above average, just given the aggressive nature and some of the things that he did there outside of those inside clips.
Well, he caused so much damage, right? Well, you know, he went off course. So, you know, I mean, is that awarded? Not really. You know, I don't think it should be.
It will be a line deduction, you know, and so what significance of how big of a mistake is it? How much can it be quantified as in terms of the deduction? Is it a 5-point deduction because he's almost 3 tires off? Is it a 6-point deduction? That's for the judges to kind of determine, but you know, it's not going to be our number 1 qualifier.
Yeah. All right, got a big turbo out back there. Got the brushes up front. So, the K&N knockout qualifying, 81.6. So, yeah, X Factor 4.33. See the qualifying, 77.33, equating to 81.66. Reel it back a little bit. Reel it back, like you said. Some carnage, some magic, a little bit of Monaco on his side.
He knows how to make memories, that's for sure.
Yeah, and he loves his course. Let's see what we got coming up next. Remember, we're locked in at 26 drivers. The remaining 24 drivers, and then the remaining drivers will compete for the final 8 spots to Forger 32. Here's the other Ford Mustang, James Dean. He won here in Atlanta back in 2017, got on the podium in 2018 and 19, 3-time champion, back-to-back-to-back. And he is back. James, the Machine Dean, right-hand drive also, which I think is really cool. You know, the other Mustangs, but the lone vehicle, James Dean, right-hand drive. That's what he wanted. That's what he gets. The AutoZone Ford Mustang RTR Spec 5 FD Nitto tires on the corners. Wow, big, massive angle from James Dean. Huge, nasty initiation.
How did he save that?
Wow. Massive angle, comes in at outside zone 2, gets into the dirt. He throws the Nittos in the dirt. I mean, the amount of angle he's throwing at the car right now is insane. Can't even see. James the Machine Dean makes his way back up. He says, all right, boss, hold my monster. Let me show you how to do this. Man, James Dean is back, ladies and gentlemen. Wow.
That was an incredible save on inside clip 1. He could have completely overblown that. And he starts looking like he's going in the kitty litter, and no, he doesn't. But the amazing thing is he didn't really slow down so much in that area where the judges might think, oh, that would be a unchaseable lead, because we did see that in Prospect, drivers overshooting it, almost coming to a stop between there and the touch and go. Now, obviously, there are, just like Chelsea, there are some clear mistakes here, but that was so fun to watch because it was just at the edge of everything. He keeps angle in the front wheels. It's not the cleanest coming out of that section, but I would much rather have that than going in the kitty litter and getting it incomplete, right?
Absolutely.
And you know where the score is going to slot him in is just going to make things more. I mean, look at that transition, that rate to angle and snap all the way back around. It's almost as if he's approaching the edge of losing control but staying in control. Kind of the essence of drifting as it is anyway.
That's the thing. Thanks for clarifying what drifting is.
Yeah,
no. And I definitely want to see the inside the cockpit of James Dean. I know Vaughn's already posted some footwork, and I mean he's already posted his 93.3 run. Vaughn has.
Go ahead, Captain Obvious.
Yeah, so that's pretty sweet. That was almost an hour ago, and he's already posted that up. Look at that footwork of Vaughn.
Strong.
Just rolling it.
So I'd say strong to very strong.
Yeah, heel toe. Look at that. Watch this. I mean, just the footwork there, the handwork. I mean, it's impressive. 85.33. So as you said, kind of leaving some points on the table. 80.67 X factor, just about that midpoint. So 85.33 puts him into 7th position. So good score for James Dean. Only his 2nd round in that Ford Mustang, and he pilots anything from S chassis. I know he's competing over in Europe in a different car. He's got a Eurofighter. He's got so many different cars. But right now, here we are, the Toyota Racing Corolla. Here we go. Let's see what we got. So the GR Corolla, Rain-X Nitto Tire Rockstar Energy Drink. GR Corolla.
Okay, this is starting off good.
Yo, let's go. Ryan Turk comes out swinging here in Atlanta, filling all that 2nd zone. Past the inside clip, transitions now. That Excel. You think he overshot that?
Blew the touch and go, yeah.
Yeah, the touch and go gets overshot by Ryan Turk. But again, the Rockstar Energy Drink driver, Controlled Chaos, great series last year. What's that?
But this is a good exercise for us and for fans. Like, what do you quantify as the penalty for overshooting the touch and go? Well, it's a line deduction, right? So is that a 3-point deduction? Because where else do you see very noticeable mistakes in this run? There's not many. I mean, the fluidity after the transition through that inside clip was super clean. It was definitely better than many of the drivers that we've seen. He does overshoot the touch and go, so we know there's going to be a line deduction there. But what is the overall effect of that? Is that a 5-point deduction? And then where are the other mistakes made? I still think that this is going to be a top 5 score.
Yep.
And Ryan Turk is showing, coming out of Long Beach, how comfortable he's in that vehicle. I mean, the difference between his run in Long Beach and 2nd place was something like 5 points.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it was absolutely incredible.
Here we are, top 5 drivers, like you said, Ryan, coming out of Long Beach, feeling comfortable. The hot hatchback, the GR Corolla. Let's see where he lands. You said top 5. That's what. And 88, so there you go. He gets in that number 5 position. So Ryan Turk with an 88 puts him into number 5 position. That's where he comes into this round of competition, just outside podium territory. All right, so let's take a look. Larry Chen got Zach Visser in the building. And there we are. Von Gittin Jr. sits atop. Forrest Wang sits in 2nd. Odie sits in 3rd. Look at that. Diego Higa sitting in 4th, and Ryan Turk rounding out the top 5. Jonathan Hurst picking up a new title sponsor for him. Excited for good old Jonathan Hurst. And let's see what we got for the Pride of Paducah. Coming on in, the Mr. Cool BMW. The Vitor tires. He's loving the tires, loving the setup. And you gotta love this thing, loud and proud. Firing off in the keyhole. Woo! Holy cow. Mr. Cool. BMW, there we go, talking about overshooting that touch and go, but he keeps it cool, loud and proud. Jonathan Hurst.
Yeah, Jonathan Hurst got himself a performance bonus in Long Beach. You can see why. He finished in the top 5, and he is definitely one of these guys that is making so much of his program. When you compare it to some of the other teams in the series that have different levels of funding, he is bucking the trend and showing you that anybody can do this if you have enough heart, determination to put together a program. Go out there, get the track time, and really focus on what you want to achieve in your goals. This guy is doing it. He is living his dream, and he's doing it on a much smaller budget than a lot of other teams. So right now, he's having a little bit of trouble on that initiation. He also missed the touch and go, but you can just see underneath just the passion and the talent that he has as a driver. And we're gonna expect great things from him this year. He's always going to be in the mix now. I think that he's kind of gotten that, that big finish out of the way. And we saw it last year too. He had a couple situations where he had some big finishes, and now he's starting to do it more consistently. He's signing title sponsors. He is really doing a lot to further his career in the sport.
Yeah, and he's got a great attitude. Always got a smile on his face. He's spotting for Connor O'Sullivan, so Connor O'Sully. He's doing pro spec, so just really kind of sharing roles, sharing opportunities here, and again, that Outer Zone podcast with Jacob with him was really great. Just showed, like you said, making his dream come true. It's he's wanted to do it, and he's doing it. So he's making a name for himself with a 73.33. So down on points, but still he. Oh, you know what? Yeah, so he actually will need to have a second run, but that score will stand. So 73.33. So he's not in the mix. So I misspoke saying you got a score and you're in, but obviously needs to be higher than a 73.33 in order to get into competition or just lock it in for the top 24. All right. So here we go. Frederick Osbo, your 3-time and defending Formula Drift champion, the Rockstar Energy Drink, Toyota Supra. He's on Nitto tires, wrapped around those Forge Star wheels. Coming up the hill, look at this Supra. The gold nose and the tail gets into that second outside zone. Now back down the hill. Past the touch and go, and then one final inner flip, boom, right there. Just barely nicks it with that front right corner, doesn't obliterate it. But Frederick Osbo, again, a defending champion, got 3rd in Long Beach. Got the star on his back.
Yeah, Frederick Osbo coming off a championship, had a good finish in Long Beach, trying to continue it here. He said in the past that he has struggled at this particular round, and right now it looks like he's putting together a pretty solid qualifying run. Driving that midline, coming down the hill, perfect job on that touch and go, nice snappy transition back around, and a strong finish through the finish line for Frederick Osbo. Here it is again on that initiation, letting it float out, and back on throttle about 25-30 feet before that inside clip. Really using all the tools in the tool belt here for Frederick Osbo to get that car perfectly on line, max the angle out, impress the judges. And one of the things that Papadakis Racing and Osbo in particular are really known for is they really pay attention in the drivers' meetings. They listen very acutely to what the judges say. They almost never ask any questions, but they want to know what they need to do, and then they go execute.
Yeah, yep. Makes sense. And Frederick, I will say that weren't you caught off by, it seemed that Freddie wasn't exactly Freddie, and he wasn't as dialed as I would expect it in Long Beach.
Yeah, I heard you say that.
86.33 and 86.33. What are your thoughts?
I'm not saying I disagree, but Osbo is known
to do a very championship, a champion type thing, like a Kelly Slater type thing, where he peaks at the right time.
Yeah, I agree with that.
He builds up to the moment. Now, whether or not that was happening in Long Beach, I don't know. Yeah. But I heard you say that, and it wasn't kind of like, oh, I know Jared doesn't know what he's talking about. It was more like, okay, you know, all right, I can see that. That's a potential read.
Yeah, no. And Tanner was notably that degree and that pedigree of kind of ramping up and scaling. You don't go full hard on, you know, right away. You kind of scale it, you know, temper the flame and then turn it up when needed.
Tactically, I think it's better to do that because you give people insight to what you do on run number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, but then you give them 3 levels up by the time you finish the event.
RCP, Rome Charpentier, Garagistic, BMW, Giving Moderns Hell, Big Duck Club, let's go. Blast past that inside clip. Whoa! Man, feeling all that first outside zone. Oh, no. The Vitors grip up, backfire. Look at that. We got rainbows. We got fire. We got unicorns. We got it all. The Vitor tire. So look at that. Rome Charpentier, who finished second in Long Beach, he's having some issues. Ah, bummer there for Rome Charpentier, RCP. What went wrong? That was interesting. So maybe some steering issues.
It almost looked like he was going to save it there, Jared,
Yeah.
and I'm surprised that the spin actually came after outside zone 2, but he really angled up almost in like a fantastical kind of way. It looked like he was going to save what was appearing to start off looking like a could not be overcome mistake. And surprisingly, he actually ends up spinning out after outside zone number 2.
Yeah, that was such a bummer. Again, just with him doing so well in Long Beach, he is going to he's forcing himself to have a second run. So up in the keyhole run.
Yeah, here it is again. Let's get a look at it. Obviously, the incomplete happens in the horseshoe. He goes up the hill. Watch this right here. I mean, he is flying. Big angle, and it looks like he saves it, and then right there, the back end comes loose. And unfortunately, it's an incomplete. We know that this guy is going to do well this year. We know he's going to be a contender in a lot of different areas. Obviously, this is not the run that he wanted, but notice how smart he is. He goes in the gravel.
Yeah.
He doesn't drive back on the track. He actually goes in the grass all the way up. Good guy.
Good guy. So that's an etiquette thing. Doesn't bring the dust and the gravel. Ryan, expectations for this weekend? Ticket sales, what's going on? What's cracking?
I mean, it is looking to be the biggest Road Atlanta event that we've ever had. Long Beach was the same thing. This season just feels very historical for a lot of different reasons. We're going to have, Jim is coming out this weekend to celebrate with us as well. This is the first event that we've had for 20 years on the schedule, Road Atlanta, and there's so much history here. I think for anybody that wins this event, it will certainly go down in the history books just because of the marquee nature of this particular event and it being the 20th season. But, we pretty much have already seen that there are no gimmies in any of the rounds, top 32, top 16, whatever. Everybody has upped their level so much and has become so competitive across the board from number 1 to number 37.
That's right. Here we go. We are seeing Matt Field here, the Beast from the Bay, dropping his Cave Chronicles. Be sure to follow his adventure of the cavemen and the head caveman, Matt, the Beast from the Bay Field. His Borler Performance, Heat Wave, got Lean Customs on the hood, on the roof, and he's gonna big angle there. The 4 stars go around. The white wheels sticking out, looking good. Now powering his way up the hill into the rumble strip. How's he gonna manage? Boom! You see a quick little handbrake pull, filling all that second outside zone. Our current points leader, winner in Long Beach. Is this enough to take that number 1 spot right now? Fontaine Jr. has it. Is Matt Field gonna take it from him? Is that enough?
Well,
93?
the initiation is such a big part of the overall run because it really sets you up for the rest of the course. Get that wrong, go too slow, too much angle, lose momentum. You can see he has a little bit of an adjustment, one at the beginning and one at the end towards that inside clip. It doesn't affect him too much. He's still able to reach all the way into the second outside zone, right at the edge there, driving very precisely. I don't know that this is going to beat Vaughn's score, but this is going to probably be a top 5 score at least, and we'll see where that slots in. There's not that many mistakes. I just don't know if it was as dynamic as Vaughn's was as the first run of the event. And obviously, the judges have seen that run as the first run, so they've had that to compare it to and look at and say, you know, what drivers are doing better things than that run in better sections of the course, and how am I scoring those runs, et cetera, et cetera. So Matt Field ends his run here. He will certainly be in the top 32. Now it's just a question of where he is going to slot in.
All right, so Matt Field, if you haven't seen him, the Formula Drift Lean Customs pins. Matt Field has his awesome little racer guy. Only 100 available on site here, so you're going to need to act fast. But shout out to Justin at Heatwave and the Heatwave fam. But the Borla Exhaust GT Radial Drift Cave Corvette. And winner at round 1, the Field family cheering him on. I know mom and dad were in Long Beach. I know his sis cheering him on. And of course his wife. All right, so we have seen all first runs from the drivers. Kane and Naka qualifying. Matt Field gets an 85.6. So contrary to what you said, you thought he was going to be top 5, but slides into 9th position. So like you said, that X factor, 3.6. So, you know, little glimmer of some X. X going to give it to you. All right, so we've seen every first run from every driver, and here's how it shakes out. Vaughn Gittin Jr., your number 1 qualifier. Forrest Wang right behind him. Odie Bachus, Diego Higa in the mix, and Ryan Turk, top 5.
Absolutely incredible performance from Vaughn Gittin Jr. He has not lost a step, and he just proved a big point here. He's here to be taken seriously. Doesn't matter that he's going 4 rounds. And as we look at the top 10 and round it out, you can kind of see, look at just such small differences between these drivers here overall. And there's definitely going to be some tiebreakers happening in there as well. We've got 381s there from 16, 17, 18. So incredible performances all around. Guys are shaking off the cobwebs. They're ready to go. It looks like it's going to be an amazing top 32 once we slot the remainder of the field.
Pointed out, 25 down. Those are the drivers that need to re-rack and run them again. So all the drivers and names you're seeing now have to have a second run in order to get into 32. So again, look at that. So I believe we'll have 35 drivers in total. You can see all those drivers with incompletes. So again, 3 drivers will be watching from the sideline on Saturday. Here's our United States Air Force Aim High Trivia, powered by the U.S. Air Force. What is the name of the newest bomber in the U.S. Air Force's fleet? Is it the B-1 Lancer? Is it the B-21 Raider? Is it C, B-2 Spirit, or D, B-52 Stratofortress? Which is a great name. You can find that question in the comment section of our live stream on YouTube. Go ahead and click. United States Air Force, proud supporter of Formula Drift, proud supporter, what I think is the best country in the world. When we come back, we'll see our Q2 knockout qualifying, K&N knockout qualifying. We come back, and first, you'll see that man, the Power Stop S chassis of Ryan Littoral. Don't go anywhere.
I watched my first race yesterday.
You're on the team, kid. It's orientation day.
Hey, new guy, let's get you up to speed.
Lunchtime. Your workspace is ready.
Looks like you got a corner office.
Be part of something greater. Toyota. Let's go places.
GT Radio. Experience ultra high performance.
Rockstar energy gets me energized so I can go out and send it. Hustle on.
Welcome back here to Road Atlanta. The first run is in the books, and we have seen, again, our 24 drivers. Now, the remaining drivers, which there are 35, we will see the remaining drivers run, and we will fill the remainder of the field. So, here we are seeing our Q2 qualifying start list. Got Kyle Mohan, Ryan Littoral, Christos Blush, Joao Barillon, Nick Novak, Robert Dorn, Alex Holovnia, Taylor Hole, Kenshiro Gucci, and Jonathan Hurst. And out of those 10 drivers there, or 11 drivers, excuse me, RCP, Rome Charpentier. So out of those drivers, we're only taking 8. So 3 drivers in that list will be watching from the stands on Saturday. Remember, we got points on the line. 3 points for first, 2 points for second, 1 point for third, and it has come down to that. When it comes down to Irwindale, we'll do it again.
Oh yeah, it makes a big difference. I mean, imagine if you qualified first every event, that's 24 points. We've seen the championship the past couple of years literally be singular points difference, and that is your championship points on the line. So we still have a long way to go, but every little point counts. And we tend to always look back, Jared, and say, oh, if only I had won that battle, if only I had got that qualifying position. Well, that's what's happening right now as we go through the second round of qualifying for the Pro Championship.
Any big surprises for you there, Ryan, in regards to qualifying? Either maybe somebody who did really well, I mean, obviously Von Gittin Jr., and then also maybe some upsets.
Yeah, surprised, I don't know if that's the right word. I think this track always tends to be surprising no matter which way you look at it. We mentioned earlier on, Osbo has said a number of different times he hasn't had the greatest success here. He's had some mechanical issues and maybe not the results. He also has had moments where things have come into alignment and he's done extremely well here. Same for Odi Bakshis and same for Von Gittin Jr. and same for a lot of the top guys. But I think this track tends to bring out of people another level sometimes, and sometimes that mental aspect of it, the excitement, the fact that you're going triple digits into initiation, it takes a day or two to kind of just get settled and get balanced and then figure out what you're going to do to be competitively strong for the rest of the weekend. It's also, this is a one-off event because besides this in Salt Lake City, this is the only time that we will ever qualify both series on a Thursday and have that that earlier day of practice on a Wednesday for these combined weekends. So there's a lot of things at play here. Obviously, there are 3 guys that are going to be going out, and they're going to be fighting for every little point that they can to ensure that they make it into the top 32.
A lot of variables here. Also, you're going to be jumping down on track and having a conversation with Vaughn Gittin Jr., number 1 qualifier, after we see the second runs from Q2, and get some great insight. That's going to be a great, again, having some words with him. I think that's going to be really great to speak with him. This iconic track, I saw a lot of, Mr. Alex Martini of Throttle Motorsports. Him and I talked at Long Beach. Let's see, what did we talk about this time? Let's check it out.
All right, Jared, be real with me. What's a controversial car opinion you've got?
I know. I'm too politically correct. I can't. What's one of yours?
I would honestly say that unfortunately, even though the person that's holding that camera has one of these cars, the Mazda RX-8 just isn't reliable. It's just not there. It's just not a car you should keep alive. There's so many better cars out there for the dollar.
Wow.
Look at how upset he's getting right now.
The menace is mad right now, and so is the cameraman. He's smiling, but look, is he crying?
Yeah, there's a little bit of tear back there. He's fine.
Wipe your tears with your Doritos, buddy. Get out of here.
And I mean, everybody's got their opinion, right? And he talks about that. Well, Kyle Mohan, here he is in Q2. I just have a hard time, being that polarizing. So, poor guys, all the drivers, love them all. All right, so we are going to be seeing Q2. Kyle the Menace Mohan, Renewable Lubricants, E-Flex Mazda RX-8 from Long Beach, California. He's on those Vitor tires. Vitor, he knew coming into the picture, into the Formula Drift Championship, so warming him up. 11 drivers, 8 spots, 3 will be watching from the sidelines. The Type S lights are on. Type S, the official lighting of Formula Drift. Kyle the Menace Mohan. Local time, just about 10 o'clock, 10:01 to be exact. We'll get this wrapped up and we'll see you back here tomorrow. Check the time for the schedule tomorrow. Our Pro Spec begins our live stream tomorrow, 2:30. All right, here we go. Kyle the Menace Mohan. Kyle Mohan coming into view. Nice angle from him. Gets back on it. The rotary powered missile, the RX-8. Here comes Kyle Mohan. Flirts with that second outside zone. Coming out of the keyhole. Maxing out that angle. And I believe Kyle does have a score. We'll take the better of the 2 and see if he makes it into one of these 8 spots, one of these final 8 spots.
I'm trying to remember the first run to have some comparison about whether or not that was better. Intuitively, I feel like that it probably was. There were still a couple mistakes there, but that is the campaign that he will have to sit with for the remainder of the drivers going, and find out if he can make it into those final slots here in the top 32. Let's take a look at it again. It's a nice little jump down there as he heads towards that inside clip. He's back on throttle at the right time, transitioning back around, now heading up the hill to outside zone number 1, connecting it to 2, trying to find that stability and really push forward as he hits that inside clip. Good little transition back around here. A little bit off that touch and go, and much better on that final inside clip. I think the line will be generally pretty good. I don't know that the X factor is going to be overly impressive. And what other components does he have in this run that would impress the judges, that would give him a score that he needs to move into the top 32?
All right, so let's see. Is it enough? The other score, the better of the 2. Kyle Mohan waiting for his score. Next up should be Ryan Littoral. And there he is on the start line. Ryan Littoral, Power Stop Brakes S15 collab here in, I believe it's Alpharetta, working on his engine. RB powered S15. Campaign RB for quite some time, and here we go. Kyle Mohan, a 73. So he does, no, I think 70, he does not better. So 75.6, so he does not better it. So 75.6, the better of the two. Again, with so many incompletes here. You know, Christos Bluish, he's up next. Ryan Literal, Joao Berrion, Nick Novak with an incomplete. Taylor Hull, Ken Gucci, Rome Charpentier. All right, here we go. Ryan Literal. Let's see how the power stop breaks. S15 goes down. That was like a initiation, almost like checked up. Now coming up the hill. So a quick little correction into outside zone 1, into outside zone 2. Breaks up again. Oh, it looks like he is just fighting the car. Yeah, that's going to be incomplete. Oh, what a bummer for Ryan Literal. Man, just the gremlins.
Yeah, you can sense the frustration. As soon as he had that mistake in outside zone 2, that pretty much cooked it overall. And, you know, he's trying to piece it together there, and you can kind of sense that he's just frustrated overall with what's going on with the car and trying to, you know, get as much out of this campaign here at Road Atlanta as he can. But you can, as you said, Jared, he had a little bit of a hesitation on initiation, didn't get to full lock, and then coming up the hill, the angle starts unwinding out of the car, and right there he pretty much, I mean, that would have been unchaseable. Yeah. But then as he tries to continue to keep going, right about here, that solidifies it and he shuts it down.
Such a bummer for Literal. Just, you know, he's got a good positive attitude for sure. Got that PMA, but that can only get you so far. Your car is having some issues there. And here we are. Ryan Literal will not be seeing competition. Kyle Mohan, a little exhale there, as he does have a score, but so that's one of the 3 spots that a driver will be watching from the sidelines tomorrow. Christos Bluish, again coming from Riga, from Latvia. This is you know, it'd be quite a bummer, unfortunate scenario if he got double incompletes. All the way from Latvia, making his debut back into formative competition. HGK, really cool body kits, the Eurofighter. And you know, even Matt Field running the HGK Corvette kit. A lot of the drivers running the HGK outfit. And here comes Christops, one more turn and burn. And bring it to the line. What tire is Christops running? GT Reno, right there on the hood. So, so coming back into picture, new tire for him. And here we go. Christos Bluish, the Latvian lover. HGK E92 Eurofighter. Coming down the hill. See the Excel, quick little decel. Yanking the handbrake, taking out, center punching that inside clip. That'll obviously be a deduction. Now working his way up, outside zone 1 and 2. Could definitely go deeper. Now transitions out, that rate to angle. Snapping as he takes out the inside clip. Once again, uses all the course, and there goes Christos Bluish.
Well, just thinking about it pragmatically, Literal is out. Mohan has a 75 and change. So does this go above that number? Obviously, he does have that big early mistake, center punching that inside clip. A little bit shaky coming up the hill here. Does not completely get out to outside zone number 2. He's able to stay on that first hash mark on the inside clip. Good transition back around. Great job on the touch and go, and a much smoother transition towards the finish line. Just gets to the edge of the course there. So I think that this will probably be better than Mohan's score, even though that center punching the inside clip is not the greatest thing for your campaign overall. And unfortunately, just right in front of the judges there, and outside zone 2, not the greatest look. But we obviously know this guy is an incredible driver. Yeah. We certainly want to see him make it into the top 32. We know he's going to be so exciting, but the pressure is on right now for him to get a good enough score to make that top 32 field.
Yep, absolutely. Absolutely.
There you go.
77.66. So top of the heap of these 11 remaining drivers. So he can't finish any better than 25th or qualify 25th. All right, so K&N knockout qualifying. Second run for our drivers. Man, Joao Berrion, that thing straps it back together. And Joao, the sheriff, the Corvettes, Barbarius from Brazil. He's on GT radial tires. Now through that start chicane. Let's see if he can put a run together. Had some hiccups on his first run. Sitting on a complete, way aggressive initiation. Saw that kind of counter, kind of straightened out. Now coming into the second outside zone, that's where he had some issues earlier. Is it enough? Oh, buddy. Goes on the wrong side of that inside clip to end it, but you could see him kind of fighting it, staying and pinning it into the keyhole as he was coming out.
I think that the judges may give some consideration to whether or not this was chaseable coming out of the keyhole. There's a tremendous speed drop besides the twitchiness, and it looks like he's just not as centered and balanced as he needs to be. Watch this right here. As he leaves outside zone 2, he's going to go wide, and right there, he really slows down. It's not that he loses angle or that he comes to 0 degrees for an extended period of time. But remember, an unchaseable lead is a mix of multiple mistakes that would be considered unchaseable. So, you know, that is something I think that they probably will consider. Even if they score it, I don't know that it's going to be higher than Kristaps or Kyle Mohan's score.
Yeah. Okay, let's see. All right. Joao Berrion. Is it judgeable? Seen them input some scores here. So it's not an incomplete. So it is judged run. All right, clean up a little bit here throughout the course. Ryan, the schedule tomorrow, again, it's all pro spec tomorrow, and gates open at noon, so the paddock there. We got a pro spec drivers meeting, and we got warming up.
Paddock is at noon. I think the main
Paddock
gates will be open at like 8 o'clock in the
Got
morning.
it. Yes, sir. Venue open to public at 8. Paddock opens at noon, and our live stream begins at 3:30. 3:30. And then we have our opening ceremonies, top 16. That's going from 8 to 10:30. So got a lot of action going down tomorrow. So 7:15 is or 7:30, excuse me, will be when we're on the live stream for our top 16. Nick Novak went into the kitty litter earlier. He debeated his tire, and here's the score: 68.66. So, you know, I think, yeah, so breathing a breath of fresh air will be Kristaps Blush. So Blush will be seeing competition. There's Mohan at 75.6, Thorne at 74. So there are drivers that have the scores, but as we saw, it looks like Literal and Joao does have a score, 68.66, better of the two. Or no, excuse me, he had an incomplete. And here's Nick Novak. All right, Novak making his way into the Pedal Commander burnout box. And then our action on Saturday for pro competition. Live stream begins there at 3:30 for top 32. Then we have 7:15 and 7:30 is opening ceremony for top 16 on Saturday. Pedal Commander burnout box being utilized there by Nick Novak. We'll see how Novak performs on his second run from Las Vegas, Nevada. The E46 built by Jerry Yang Racing. Jerry Yang, instrumental in a lot of these drivers' vehicles, including Kazuya Taguchi. Here comes Nick Novak, see if he can tighten it up. Went off course, keep that tire on. He slapped into that rumble strip and DB'd the tire and caused him to go off course. Looked like Nick Novak, a lot more settled. The GT radials bringing a gang of smoke. And that second outside zone just barely on the outside of it. Now coming back down the hill, there comes Novak. Fast touch and go, good execution there, and tight to that inside clip. A lot better than his first run, obviously. Not going to the kittilator, not DB'ing the tire.
Yeah, definitely tempered it back on the initiation. I mean, it's very clear to me that there are a lot of nerves out there. Nobody wants to be sitting on the outside. They don't want to push too hard and get it incomplete, but they don't want to go too soft and not get the appropriate score. Novak here looks like he's getting the job done. It's not the greatest run in the world, but there is enough there, I think, to make himself at least have a competitive enough run to get into the top 32. As we take a look at it again, gets into that inside clip a little bit, pretty stable going up the hill, makes that adjustment, and is not really able to get out to that second outside zone. We've seen a lot of drivers fall prey and victim to that as we've gotten deeper into the night and maybe the track has got a little bit colder, and also it is scary to push extremely hard coming up the hill and then hope that you don't fly off the course into the dirt. So Nick Novak has his run done, and he's popping in at a 76.66.
76.66 for Novak. Oh, that pushes João Berrion down the line. So kind of sweating here. Kind of sweating it here as Novak it's at 76. Next up, we should be seeing, who's this? Got Robert Thorne. So Robert Thorne, he's down as far as, scorer. He does have some points, but he needs to better it here in a second run. He is your, not defending Prospect champion, but your Prospect champion from last year, making the jump from Prospect to Pro. So I'd love to see him do well and see if Thorne can get an agreeable score to get him in 32. And Thorne pulls to the line. And Thorne. And here we go. Robert Thorne coming down into, wow, big angle there from Thorne. So he comes out of it a little bit, tries to get aggressive and has to come out and unwinds it now in that second outside zone, ripping through the course, but you see those little micro corrections there. You're seeing it from the attitude of the vehicle, and you're seeing right inside the cockpit. Thorne, good transition. He found it in there towards the end, but just some corrections here and there. That's going to be reflected in his score.
Yeah, big angle on initiation and then really pulled a lot out of it, which in the judge's eyes is not that great. Right there you can see he had big angle on initiation and then really pulled the majority of it out to hit that inside clip. Also another driver not getting out to outside zone 2, and then he's going to push really wide there on that inside clip. He just completely abandons that altogether. Better section here through that touch and go, and finishes pretty strong and stable and consistent, but certainly some mistakes that the judges are going to take note of. Here's that huge angle, and then right there, it's almost a save that allowed him to keep angle in the car, but he reduced it quite a bit. And then with his second outside zone, we are certainly going to see some line points deducted there as well for that and that inside clip. So Robert Thorne done with his campaign for the evening. Where does he slot in overall? Does he make it into the top 32?
All right, cleaning up the course and continuing on. And here we are, 74.66. 74.66. So he does, that was his first score. So his second score was a 69. So again, the first score will stand to be the better. And here's the standings right now. So again, Belush sits comfortably up top. Novak, Mohan, Thorne. And we will see Hurst run again. Polovnia, João, he's got that 68.66.
Everybody except for Charpentier, Literal, and Gucci are in. Gucci is still left to go, and Rome is still left to go as well.
All right. Here's the second run here for Alex Holovnia from Ukraine. Down in his Uragan Aspida. Pass the inside clip. A lot more refined. You can see, like you said, Ryan, the nerves were very apparent on the first run. Right now, it looks a lot more settled. Not those micro corrections that we saw from him earlier. And even just with that exhaust note, which is way more wild on the first run, now it seems an even tone, an even note throughout.
Yeah, the middle part of that run, I think he sacrificed more than the beginning and the end. The beginning and the end seemed like he had a pretty decent approach on trying to make sure that when he initiates, he gets to angle and stays there. And so that's pretty smooth. But right here, as he transitions and goes up the hill, watch the front end, starts washing out. You can hear the car banging off the rev limiter. Very low angle through that section. Doesn't hit that second outside zone. And now he's like, all right, cool, I need to kick it back in gear. Let me get going here. I'm going to stay tight on that touch and go. Good, smooth transition back around, just maybe a few inches off that final inside clip. So for me, the first part and the last part of the run is pretty solid. It's the middle part that he had some sacrifices.
All right. Let's see how Holovnia scores on his second run. Again, a Formula Drift rookie making his debut here. Awaiting his score. And here it is, 72.3 for Holovnia. So 72.3. That was his first score. Again, the better of the two. So his second score is 71.3. So just betters it by 1 point. Currently sits at 6. We'll see if that stands because we got all those incompletes, between Gucci and we saw the other names there. So that's threatening. Another driver that could really show up right now, and he needs to because he has an incomplete Taylor Hull, full pull Hull, is Comp Cam's Corvette. Right here in Senoia, Georgia. 68.66. You can see João Berrion. All right, here comes Taylor Hull. Comp Cam's Kenatara Yellow Speed Racing Corvette. Stars and stripes. He stripes it down past the inside clip. Point of no return. Here we go into that second outside zone. He comes up short. That's where he had an issue. This is where, I can feel the nervousness inside the cockpit right there. All right, let's see where Taylor gets it done here around that last clip. Just barely nudges it over.
Yeah, I think he's got the 68.66.
Yeah, I think that's going to better 68. So,
definitely a very composed run from him. That is certainly the epitome of getting the job done in my eyes.
Yep.
He's not going for that 93. He's trying to basically get himself in a position where there's no question that he's making into the top 32. The mistakes that he made are ones that anybody that is playing the strategic game would probably go that direction as well. It's not getting all the way the deepest part of the zone, the biggest initiation, but he's checking all the boxes. He's not making any major mistakes, and he looks composed. And I think that's going to pay dividends for him in the end.
I agree. The nerves, you can just feel it. The tension, just kind of nervous anxiousness. Let's see.
He doesn't need a 95 here, right? No. He needs a 68 or higher. He's probably going to get that by a large margin.
75.
So yeah, probably something in that realm. And I think that's a very well mature, executed job for Taylor.
All right, 77. Boom, there you go. So a 77. He's in the show. Again, the best he can produce would be 25. So currently sits 26th. So Taylor Hull's going to be in the show. All right, so here we are. So look at that. You can see Blush, Hull, Novak, Mohan, Thorne, Hurst, Holovnia, and João Berrion. So Look at that. RCP waits in the wings. He still has his run, but Ryan Little, unfortunately, is out. But now Ken Gushi sits on the incomplete. Can he make it in? Adam Jabay tuning in. Grid Life fam, thanks for watching at home as Kenshiro Gushi, Monty's 3 Racing, Toyota Racing, GR86. All right, initiates into that rumble strip, steers clear of it. Now transitions up the hill. The OG original Gushi. This is way more dialed than his first run. Again, this V6 turbo is essentially the motor out of the FJ, which is kind of just a unique engine build. Love it. And that's definitely going to get it done. Again, you see that bottom, you just need, again, higher than a 68. Get 69 or higher and you're in.
Yeah, anything above that score is going to knock out Joao and put Ken Gushi in. I also think that he did enough here. It was very similar to Taylor Hull's run in terms of the execution, what he needed to do. Very, very clear, you know, a veteran driver like Ken Gushi in this situation understands what needs to be done, what boxes need to be checked in order to get into the top 32, which is the ultimate goal for right now, for today. Positioning aside, getting in the show, making it to Saturday, that is number 1 on the priority list in this moment right now for Ken Gushi.
Yeah,
to get it done.
Yeah, unfortunately, I believe he's going to knock out Joao Perillon, who just, you know, has had a pretty rough weekend. You see the car kind of banged up, but Gushi needs to get done. But I say the 69 and he's in, that he needs to go better than that because you still do have, you know, Jonathan Hurst, you got RCP, they're waiting in the wings, and they're at a 79 for Ken Gushi, so he jumps to that spot. So congratulations to him as he continues on, and we have a couple more drivers here in K&N knockout qualifying. So Joao Perillon gets knocked out. All right, so Joao Perillon on the outside, RCP. So yeah, so we got RCP, and we got, I believe, who's this on the line? Is this is Hurst? So Jonathan Hurst. So Hurst does have a score, and it is right there. So Hurst has a 73.33. Like to better it. So right now on the bubble is Holovnia. So Holovnia, the Alex Holovnia, the Ukrainian driver, he needs RCP to mess up. But right now, Hurst definitely wants to better it. Mr. Cool, that cooling unit, this thing loud, ripping up those Vitors. Gotta love it. The carbon Kevlar gets in a second outside zone. Keeping it cool. Mr. Cool firing off one of the loudest, if not the loudest car in FB. Hurts my brain, that thing is firing. Wow, Jonathan Hurst. 4th of July isn't on the 4th of July anymore. It's right now. It is absolutely insane. Fireworks. Oh my gosh, that is insane. All right, here comes Jonathan Hurst down the hill. You see him initiate. A lot more dialed, settled than his first run. Picking up that title sponsor, Mr. Cool. Cash Racing. Spotting for a pro spec driver, Osoli. And back down. Look at that textbook. And he manages that last inside clip. Just right there with the rumble strip. Doesn't hit the inside clip. Gets out to the dirt. Does extend a little beyond. So handbrake, handbrake. Just wastegates for days. Pow, pow. And one more driver. That is RCP. Second place finisher in Long Beach. And now he's sitting on that incomplete. So, like I said, Alex Holovnia is in 8th. If RCP gets a score, unfortunately, Alex Holovnia will be knocked out. So Joao Perillon are knocked out. So 88.33. He jumps that number 1 spot of these bottom 8 drivers and the bottom 8 spots. So again, he will finish 25th. But will RCP? So look, Hurst, Gushi, Blush, Hull, Novak, Mohan, and Thorne. They are in competition waiting in the wings, chewing his fingernails, Alex Holovnia. Because already Joao Barrion knocked out, and Ryan Littoral with those 2 incompletes. But RCP, Rome Charpentier, our final performer out here on track. And we will be having Ryan Sage is going to go down on track with our #1 qualifier. He's going to have some words with him. And he is 3 points richer. And I'll tell you what, it's going to be fun to watch Von Gittin Jr. And we were just talking about it in between Q1 and Q2. Eggert, and just cool, calm, collected. That's how he won the championship in 2010, 2020. It worked again for him. But I think just when he's, no pressure, I think that's when Vaughn really kind of thrives. When he's kind of having fun, feeling the flow, that's when Vaughn really comes alive. Okay, so we are about to see RCP, Rome Charpentier, get a bit iced here as we clean up the course. So don't go anywhere again. We are going to have Ryan Sage go talk to Von Gittin Jr. down on track. Get some insight inside the mind of the 2-time champ, Von Gittin Jr. And there's the Garagistic BMW. He's on those Vitor tires. So you can see that 72.33 is the number to beat. So get that 73 or higher, you are locked in. And unfortunately, Holovnia will join Littoral and Joao Barrion in the stands tomorrow. Yeah, second place in Long Beach against Matt Field. So again, two definitely coming in hot this season. But unfortunately, there are no guarantees. You got to prove it. You got to get in there. Here we go, RCP, our final driver of pro qualifying. Q2, RCP, Rome Charpentier, Garagistic, Vitor, E36. He was breaking up. He was having some issues on that first run. Let's see if he can get it together. Risking it all. Comes out. Look at that, pulling that front left tire absolutely flying up the hill. How's he going to manage going into outside zone 2? He does not. So he barely gets out there. You see him kind of working it in. So we talk about that score. He needs that. And here goes Rome back up the hill. Is it enough? Is it enough? Again, Holovnia with that 72.33. If he gets 72.34, he's in, and Holovnia is out. So, but that is TBD. We are going to find out. Will RCP be in FD ATL on Saturday? Head-to-head competition. Taking a look at this run. You saw him just ripping up the hill, coming out second outside zone. I didn't think he was going to get out there, and then just right there at the tail end of second outside zone, dials in that inside clip 2, exiting out of the horseshoe. Pass the touch and go, really good angle here. Fluid. He had a quick correction on inside clip 1. I don't know if you saw that when he transitioned. Watch this. He initiates. You see him kind of use the handbrake. Quick little correction. So the flow could have been a little more dynamic going from outside or inside clip 1 to and up the hill outside zone 1. RCP waits. Rome Charpentier, his team, supporting them. The Vitor BMW. So Hurst, Gucci, Blush, Hull, Novak, Mohan, Thorne are in. Holovnia waits to see the outcome of RCP's run. Here it is. 85. Rome Charpentier is in the show. Unfortunately, Alex Holovnia is out. So, Rome Charpentier will be in that number 2 position. That will put him into 26th spot. So, congratulations, RCP. He is in the show, head-to-head competition. Congrats to him. The Garagistic Vitor BMW, our final driver, is advancing on. Here's how our top 32 drivers are shaped up. Look at that. You got Von Gittin Jr. versus Robert Thorne, Diego Higa. Look at that, qualifies 4th. Forrest Wang 2nd. You got Odie versus Novak, Janot versus Reeder, Forsberg Castro. Some great battles. Here, look at Matt Field, Dean Carney, Jeff Jones, Simon Olson. All right, so some great driving. Trenton Beecham, James Dean. Stookie versus Power, Turk versus Blue Shell. That's a bummer. All right, so our #1 qualifier, Vaughn Gittin Jr. And let's take a look back at the history of Ford here at Formula Drift.
Catching up with that 1 point difference. And these guys are very used to this track since this is the 4th year we've been here at Road.
On Jumeng. Jumeng trying to do the best he can in his brand new Mazda RX.
As we go up.
All right, so again, talking about the history of Formula Drift and the Ford in Formula Drift, our #1 qualifier, Vaughn Gittin Jr. He's going to be wrapping out with Ryan Sage down there on track, and he'll be making his way down here. Let's take a look at Vaughn Gittin Jr.'s run. It was the first run we saw. Look at that. It's still daytime when he was running. Now we are deep into the night, but Vaughn Gittin Jr. comes back. He's doing a split season with Adam LZ. LZ in the World Invitational. That's going down out there at E-Town. While the boss man grabs the keys and jumps that #1 spot, that 93 right out of the gates. And Ryan talked about it, you know, just not slipping, man. Yep. Like we were saying, he's like Dr. Dre. Ain't nothing changed. He's back at it. So Vaughn Gittin Jr. gets that #1 spot in the Mustang RTR Spec 5 FD, the Monster Energy with Nitto tires on the corners. Vaughn, a very, very busy man. Like I said, the street version, the street car of the RTR Spec 5 and the RTR Reveal will be going down in Orlando. If you didn't see that, Vaughn posted it up. So join us. I'm going to be hosting that alongside him. So come join us in Orlando. And come see the all new vehicle in Orlando. So taking a look at it. So 2024 Ford Mustang RTR Reveal event, Hollywood Plaza Garage, 6 to 10 p.m. May 24th. Right. Tomorrow's schedule, talking about it, the Pro Spec Day. Let's take a look. I talked about us being online. We got Top 32 going down. That's at 3:45. All right, so as taking a look at the bracket, there's a bracket. Thank you so much. We'll catch up with Vaughn Gittin Jr. tomorrow. Here's your #1 qualifier. Congratulations to him and the remainder of the drivers. Tomorrow, we'll be back here for Pro Spec, 3:30 Pro Spec competition. I'm Jared Deanna on behalf of Ryan Sage and our judges. We'll see you guys tomorrow here at Road Atlanta, celebrating 20 years of FD.